Okay, we back? Are we good? Are we good? You guys hear me? We're good? We're back? Okay, great. My internet just exploded there for some reason. I had to restart my router. I have no idea what just happened. Sorry about that, everybody. Hey, Pato. Hey, Bravia, Sweet Hesia, everybody. Uh, yeah, so that happened. Let's just, pick up where we were. So when did that cut off? I might not have caught it immediately. What was the last game I was talking about? Hello, Eric Schussler. Gunvault. Okay. I have no idea what happened, Hesia. That just happened. Okay. Wait, we still good? Oh no. Hold on a sec. Okay, yeah, we're still good. We're still good. Okay. Okay. I was worried there for a second. All right. Getting back to things now. Bat Boy is what I wanted to talk about next. Okay. So Bat Boy, I made a video review of Bat Boy. It's a solid little 2D platformer. It's very Shovel Knight-esque. Yeah, I guess if you want to hear my full thoughts on the game, go watch my review for it. But yeah, it's just good. That's really all there is to say. It's not the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty typical, I would say, but it's well designed and it's fun. It's good. Um No, you're fine. It's amazing. Don't worry about it. One second. Hold on. I want to check something. Okay, there we go. All right. Back to this thing, talking about this stuff. The Batman Arkham games. A lot of people have asked me about these games. Yeah, I've played the Rocksteady Batman Arkham trilogy, and they're really good games. I have Batman Arkham Origins up here in my to-play games, as well as Blackgate. I've tried playing Origins before, but it's just nowhere near as good, is it? These three games are pretty great, though. I know a lot of people when it came out didn't really like Arkham Knight, but I thought it was good. I had no issues with it, really. I thought it was a fun game. Arkham Asylum is interesting because it's a Metroidvania, whereas these two go open world. But both formats work for these games, so they're all solid. Yeah, I talked about Alan Wake earlier, Pato. Really good game, good story. Bayonetta, one of the best character action games ever. Yeah, it's just solid. Bayonetta 2, even better in my opinion, but that's a Switch game, or a Wii U game technically. I haven't played Bayo 3 yet. Yeah, it's just a fantastic game. Not my favorite character action game ever. I prefer Devil May Cry and a couple others, Ninja Gaiden and such, but still, very, very, very good game. Okay. Beyond Good and Evil. Has anybody played Beyond Good and Evil? Cause this game is really good. It's very underrated, I think. It's pretty obscure by Michel Ancel, creator of Rayman. And it's a very strange. I don't even know how to describe what it is as a game. It's kind of like an adventure stealth game, sort of, but it's very narrative driven primarily. It has a lot of that Michel Ancel creativity behind it, which is a big part of why I love it. It's not really a platformer. It's a very unique thing. It's kind of a collectathon. It's very good. I would recommend it. There's a second game that was being in the works, but I think that's in like nightmare limbo, and it's never going to happen, which is fine. It didn't even look particularly amazing. But the first one, very good game. I would recommend it. Binding of Isaac. I have 365 hours into Binding of Isaac. I have the Platinum God for this, minus the last DLC I haven't picked up. I think Repentance it's called. I haven't picked that up yet. But Binding of Isaac was my first roguelike that I ever played. And it's... Oh my god, again? Oh, we reconnected successfully that time. Are we good? Are we still live? We back? We back? Okay. The internet died for a second there, but we're okay. We're fine. I have no idea what's going on there, but it's very frustrating. I don't get it. I've streamed in the past for hours at a time with no issues. Ugh. Oh well. We'll power through. So yeah, Binding of Isaac. Really, really good. I did start to have issues with it when you get to, like, many hundreds of hours in, and then you basically just walk into a room and kill everything because your item combos get ridiculously overpowered no matter what. And then it stops being fun, kind of. But I hear Repentance addresses some of that, so I want to check that out. Blood Rain Betrayal. This is a game by WayForward. And it's truthfully not a great game. It's like a 2D action game with some platforming. And it's okay. I like it more than it really deserves, honestly. It's very clunky, it's very weird, but it's got some pretty fun mechanics to it, sort of. It's gotten really nice art. And this game was made by the people that would leave WayForward and then eventually go on to form Yacht Club and make Shovel Knight. And you can see some of that in this game. Some, like, pre-Shovel Knight ideas are here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's an alright game, I would say. And I like it. Y2 Commander, that question is exactly why I'm doing this stream. We'll get there. Bloodstained games, both excellent. I'm a big fan of Castlevania games, both Classicvania and Igavania. So these are both good. There's just more Castlevania games, basically. Bloodstained is one of the best Igavanias. Not the best, in my opinion. My favorite is Aria of Sorrow. Curse of the Moon is more Classicvania style, which I like a lot, because I actually prefer Classicvania over Igavania. They're both really good. I just like this a little bit more. And yeah, Curse of the Moon is really good. There's a second game either in development or it's out. I haven't picked it up yet, but I definitely want to. Bomber Cyberpunk did a video on this. It's the best Jet Set Radio game ever. It's fucking amazing. I love it. Bomber Cyberpunk. Broken Age, point-and-click adventure game by Double Fine, by Tim Schafer. Yeah, I like point-and-click adventure games, and I liked this game quite a bit. I did not back this on Kickstarter back in the day. I was not involved in any of that drama with how it released. I just played the game when it came out, and I quite enjoyed it. It kind of loses it a little bit toward the end, but it's a good game, good story, good characters. It's quite fun. So yeah, I would recommend it if you're into point-and-click adventures, and especially if you like Tim Schafer point-and-clicks. Yeah, it's got a very nice visual style. Yeah, check that out. Brutal Legend, immediately, another Double Fine game. Again, I was completely unawares of all the drama when this game came out, that people wanted it to be like a 3D action-adventure game, but instead it's an RTS. And I'm not normally an RTS guy, and I didn't know it was an RTS going into it. It was just a cool-looking Double Fine game themed around heavy metal. I was like, sure, cool. But I actually found myself getting into this game. I mean, you can see the problem with how they market it. They make it look like it's a 3D hack-and-slash or something, which it is not. But it is a good game, and it's quite quirky and fun. If you like heavy metal especially, then it's cool. Yeah, another solid game. I'm a big Double Fine fan. They've made a lot of quality games that I have enjoyed. Yeah, I think it was the marketing that they were like, okay, they're never gonna sell this game as an RTS, so the marketing team was like, okay, we're gonna pretend it's an action-adventure game, and then everyone got tricked. If they just said out front that this was an RTS, I think people would have enjoyed it more, because their expectations would not have been pulled out from under them. I was not really bothered by it when I played it. I still thought it was a good game, so I'm fine with it. It's fun. It's good. What does it look like in-game? You do control the character from a third-person perspective, but the camera gets really zoomed out, and you get, like, devil wings that allow you to fly over the battlefield, and then you have a cursor in front of your character that you can use to control units. And you can also get down in the field and start fighting yourself to, like, kill enemies faster and things, which is a lot of what they're showing to make it look like an action game. But it's not a bad game. It is good. Anyway, Bug Fables, really good RPG. Normally not my thing, and I don't know what it was about Bug Fables, but when I saw it, it just kind of grabbed my attention. It just looked special in a way, in that kind of Hat in Time way, where you look at the game and there's an energy behind it where you're like, there's something here, and it made me want to check it out. And I did check it out, and I loved it. One of the few RPGs I've played and enjoyed, and yeah, it's super good. And then because I enjoyed this so much, I started going back and I played the original Paper Mario. I have a video on that. Looking forward to the Thousand Year Door remake. Yeah, I thought this game was pretty fucking excellent. And despite the fact that I have never really played RPGs very much, I played with the hard mode medal on this entire game because I figured, I'll turn it off if it feels too difficult, but I thought it was fine. I never turned it off. I played through the whole game in hard mode, and it was a good, healthy challenge, and I enjoyed it. It's a really well-designed game, really good characters, really good story, really good writing. Really captures the essence and energy of not just Paper Mario, but this type of old-school JRPG. It's really well done. I honestly don't have, like, any criticisms for it. It's good. It's good. Bulletstorm, first-person shooter, very over the top, made by People Can Fly in collaboration with Epic Games. And it's just crazy, balls to the wall. Older game. It came out in like 2012, something like that, I want to say. But it has some cool mechanics. It's about like killing enemies stylishly, not just like shoot a guy to death, but like launch him up into the air and then headshot him and then do a slide and kick a guy into an explosive barrel and then pull another guy to you and then shoot him into another guy. Yeah, it's got a lot of really fun, crazy stuff going on in this game. It is solid. Not the most amazing shooter in the world, but it is pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, this has a Duke Nukem DLC that was added later in the Full Clip Edition re-release, which I don't give a fuck. But it's an alright game. It's good. I literally picked up that game just so I could play it, so I could play the Gears of War 3 demo beta that was included with it. But then the game actually turned out to be really good, so yeah. Okay, Call of Duty. What the heck is this doing on here? I don't give a fuck about Call of Duty. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't play Call of Duty games. I don't like Call of Duty. Whatever. However, I do enjoy Call of Duty Zombies a lot. I fucking love Call of Duty Zombies. I have put, I don't even know how many hundreds of hours into Call of Duty Zombies over the years. I think it is really, really, really fun. And yeah, these are all the Call of Duty Zombies games. Black Ops multiplayer here is just here because it's a separate executable, but you need assets from multiplayer to play Zombies mode. Yeah, Zombies is just like infinite wave-based survival with some like puzzle-solving elements to it, and it's really good. I honestly want to eventually do videos about like every Call of Duty Zombies map, guys. I think that would be really fun. The only exception here is Black Ops 3. I love the zombies of Black Ops 3, but I actually also love this game's multiplayer. This is the only Call of Duty I like to play, because it doesn't really play like Call of Duty. It has wall jumping, wall running and jumping, it has jetpacks, it has sliding, and it kind of plays like a light version of Titanfall, and it's super fucking fun. I love Black Ops 3. It is great. I've not played the campaign of any of these games, and I don't really give a shit. So yeah, Call of Duty Zombies, really good. I liked Infinite Warfare Zombies too. A lot of people didn't like it. It's not a Treyarch, who are like the main developers of COD Zombies, but Infinite Warfare Zombies is actually pretty good. You know, I've played Black Ops 3 and Cold War as well, but they're not on Steam. I didn't buy them on Steam. I bought them on Battle.net or whatever. So yeah, that's that. Castle Crashers. I mean, everyone loves Castle Crashers, right? Xbox 360, Xbox Live Arcade, cartoony beat-em-up, fun visual style, pretty decent beat-em-up, very fun co-op game. Just a real charming game to play. It's real enjoyable. It's very nice. It's very cute. By the way, how is the footage I'm showing in the background? Is it not too loud? Because I want you to be able to hear it, but I don't want it to be too overbearing. But yeah, Castle Crashers, it's a very good, like, first beat-em-up, I would say. If you've never really played beat-em-ups before, I think this is a very accessible, approachable, very fun one. Okay, audio is good. Almost a bit quiet. Okay, I'll raise it teensy bit, like that. Yeah, you can do Castle Crashers in full 4-player co-op. It's a fun game. It's got some RPG elements. You can level up your characters and do magic and shit. It's good. Okay, Catherine. Catherine. I gotta talk about Catherine. I'm gonna do videos on Catherine eventually, because Catherine is a really, really good game. One of my favorite video game stories in general. I think Catherine explores some really interesting topics, and it does it pretty well. The gameplay is also pretty fun. I like the little block-pushing gameplay of Catherine. It's enjoyable enough, but like is pretty much always the case with Atlus games, I play for the story, and the story is quite interesting. It's very mature, but not mature in like a quote-unquote mature way, which just means like sex jokes and, you know, raunchy humor and crap like that, and, you know, just stupid shit. It's mature in that, like, it's about adult things. It's about relationships and sex and marriage and commitment and a lot of interesting things, and it explores these concepts in interesting ways. And then it goes on to have an even grander theme about how you how you want to live your life, basically. And it's really good. Highly, highly recommend Catherine. This is the original game, which I actually prefer. Full Body is an enhanced re-release that adds extra story elements, but it kind of detracts from the core original story concepts of the original Catherine. What it adds is very cool, but it kind of pulls away from the original concepts of what Catherine is, and I love those original concepts. I think they're stronger than what they do in Full Body. So I like Full Body a lot as well. I have that on PS4, but the original, I think, is pretty fucking excellent, and I'll definitely be doing videos on Catherine. I got a story video for this for sure in the future one day, because there's a lot to talk about with the story of Catherine. Cloud Built. Y'all have heard me bang on about this game a million times, and for good reason, because look at this fucking game. Look at this fucking game. If you like fast-paced, action-packed 3D platformers with cool movement, momentum mechanics, this is the game for you. It is, my favorite, one of my favorite 3D platformers ever. I'll just say this right now. I like this more than any Sonic game. It is so goddamn fun. Nice visual style as well. Really fucking spectacular music also. And it's just so goddamn good. Even the story in this game, there's not much to it, but it is interesting. Yeah, I just love Cloud Built. And if you do ever pick up Cloud Built and start playing it, check up on those leaderboards. You might see Pariah 695 in the top 20 on some levels. Because I just love this game so much. So good. So good. Oh. Oh! Costume Quest. More Double Fine games. Costume Quest are also RPGs, turn-based combat, and they're all just themed around Halloween. You're a bunch of kids, you go around trick-or-treating, and sometimes when you go to visit a house, it's a monster, and then that turns into an RPG battle where you transform into whatever your costume is, and each costume is like a different class. And it's a fun, cute, little, simple RPG. I mostly love it because of the aesthetics. I've mentioned this before, but I love just, like, cute, Halloween-y things, and this does it quite well. So yeah, they're pretty alright games. I enjoy them. They're not the most amazing things in the world, but they're alright. They're not bad. Crash N. Sane Trilogy, did a video on this. Love the Crash games, they're really good. One is my favorite, it's really hard, and these are like really legit 3D platformers. They don't hold back like most do, and I really enjoy that. Very fun games. I don't have Crash 4 here because I have it on Battle.net, but Crash 4 is spectacular. Also did a video on that, my favorite of the series. I love how fucking ridiculously hard that game is. It's awesome. Crash games are excellent. Yeah. Cyberhook. Fun fact, one of my earliest videos was on Cyberhook. This is a really cool grappling hook 3D platformer. And this is a game that I enjoy the time attack of. I have done it in this game. I think I've actually got some decent times if you check the leaderboards. I love grappling games. I love grappling hooks, grappling movements. There are a couple of grappling games we're going to be seeing going through here. Yeah. Look at this game. It's fucking sick. Like I said, one of my earliest videos was on this game, and it's okay. My older videos obviously are a little more rough, but I think it does a good job of highlighting how awesome this game is. There's a DLC for it that came out a while ago that I've yet to pick up, but I want to because this game is super fucking fun. Yes, actual grappling hooking nuggets. You can grapple onto anything, pretty much. Anything that's blue or purple. And it's no cheating, no, like, preset speeds. It's full physics everything. So you're in full manual control of all that you do. And it's really, really fun. Cyber Shadow also did a video on this way back in the day. Published by Yacht Club, but not made by them. And it is a pretty solid little ninja action game in the style of Ninja Gaiden. But it's much better than the old school Ninja Gaidens, I think. It's fun. It starts off very simple and slow paced, but as you get further into the game, you get crazier movement options and things. And then it gets a little bit Metroidvania-y in like the late game, post game, where you can go back and look for collectibles in areas you couldn't get to before. It's fun. It's a good game. Not the most amazing game in the world, but it's solid. It's good. Recommended. Cyber Shadow or the Messenger. We'll get to that when we get to that. D4. Oh man, D4. So this is our first game by Swery, who is a very interesting Japanese game developer. He makes games unlike anybody else. They're very unique, very stylistic, very weird and surreal and bizarre. This is like a pure narrative game, like kind of like the Telltale style of games. But it's got a really interesting story premise going on. Lots of quirky, fun characters. It's very weird. Unfortunately, this is only like part 1, and there was never any more parts, because it sold horribly, so it just died. And so it has cool story setups that just they never go anywhere, and there's nothing beyond it. But still, even what is here, just this little bit, is so quirky and fun and interesting that I love it. I just love Swery's stuff. So it's still really good, and it's worth experiencing, in my opinion. Am I a Fortnite enjoyer? No. Next up, we have the Dark Souls games. Will they ever try making a sequel? I don't think so, because they no longer have the rights to D4, I don't think. So it's just lost forever. Which is sad, but it is what it is. Anyway, yeah, Dark Souls. What do I even need to say about these games? It's fucking Dark Souls. You know what's up. Yeah, this is Dark Souls. Dark Souls 2, definitely my least favorite, even though I have 165 hours into it. That's mainly because Dark Souls 2 was the new Souls games when I got into Souls, so I was just playing that a bunch when it first came out. But yeah, it's definitely the weakest one. Still a good game, though, for sure. 1 of my favorites. 3, very, very good. Yeah, this is good. This is Dark Souls. Do I even need to say anything? Day of the Tentacle. This is another Double Fine point and click. Well, actually, technically not Double Fine. This is pre-Double Fine when Tim Schafer worked at LucasArts. And it's just a solid, old-school point and click adventure game. It's got fun writing, fun characters. Yeah, it's just good. Hey, Hesmo. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I guess I'm not going to go too into talking about point-and-click adventures for the most part, because there's not that much to say. It's got good puzzles, good story, good writing. It's good. Dead by Daylight. I have played way too much Dead by Daylight. Wait, how many hours do I have on Dead by Daylight? Yeah, 342 hours of Dead by Daylight. I've played so much of this game. Oh my goodness. There's no gameplay in this. All these are cinematic trailers. Well, most people know Dead by Daylight. It's an asymmetrical horror game. And it's really fun. I like to play Survivor, 4 survivors against 1 killer, trying to hunt everyone down. And as a survivor, you're trying to run and hide and get to the exits. And it's good. I will definitely be doing more Dead by Daylight stuff in the future, because I just love this game and I play it to death. It was real good. The Dead Rising games. Dead Risings 1, 2, and 3. Not 4, because 4 sucks. But I like the Dead Rising series. They are fun games. They are time limit games. The whole game runs on a time limit, and I've talked about this before in my videos, that I like games on time limits. I think they are fun. It makes you try to manage your time. And Dead Rising 1 especially is kind of rough to time manage. It can be quite a hard game. But yeah, the whole series is pretty good. Well, not the whole series. 4 sucks. But 2 is good. 3, not quite as good, but I still think it's a pretty alright game. Yeah, they're fun. They're fun and quirky and weird, and I like them. Dead Space. We have 2 and 3 here. Don't have 1 because I have the original Dead Space 1, but the next time I play Dead Space, I'm going to be playing the remake version of it. But yeah, Dead Space, the games are great, especially 1 and 2, both excellent games. I couldn't even really pick between which one of them is better. They are third-person, over-the-shoulder survival horror shooters, very similar to, like, Resident Evil 4, and they're just really, really good. Really, really good. Dead Space 3 is kind of weak. It starts to go in, like, co-op shooter, Gears of War-y type direction, and I like Gears of War, but that's not Dead Space, and it's not as good as the first 2 games, but I still think it's an alright game. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Dead Space, I suppose. I want to check out that remake. It looks real good. Deadly Premonition. This is another sweary game. I've talked about this game a little bit. Deadly Premonition, very, very influenced by Twin Peaks, very blatantly. It's almost plagiarism in some cases. This game sucks. It's terrible. It is a piece of shit. It plays like trash, but it's kind of a so bad it's good game, where eventually the shittiness starts to get to you, and you're like, you know what? This game's pretty cool, and it has a legitimately interesting story with very weird, unique characters. It's good. It's real good. I'd recommend, if you can't handle playing it, then you should maybe look up a Let's Play of it or something, just to experience it, because it's solid. I mean, it's not. It's terrible, but it's very cool. And there's a sequel that came out that I haven't played yet. Defunct. I've talked about this game in my Sonic-like games video, because it's a very cool 3D Sonic-esque game. Uses like the same kind of fundamental ideas of Sonic, of inclines affecting your speed, and it even has a rolling equivalent mechanic that makes you gain more speed on downhill and lose speed uphill. And just look at this fucking game. It's super fast, super fun, feels very Sonic-y. It's really cool. I think I've got some decent times on these leaderboards too. Yeah. Yeah, look at this game. Look, you can do loops for real, because it's got good physics. Yeah, definitely check this game out. It's a very short game, but it's a very good game. Yeah, Defunct. Good stuff. Deponia. Okay, Deponia. We gotta talk about Deponia a little bit. This is another point-and-click adventure game by Daedalic. This is actually a series of games. There are 4 Deponia games, and they are, in my opinion, the best of Daedalic's work. They've got a very fun art style, very fun aesthetic and tone to them. They're very tongue-in-cheek. They break the fourth wall a lot. They're very cool games. And they have shockingly good stories, actually. They're very good. Yeah, this is just real good. Yeah, it's very European. Daedalic is a German developer, and they make good stuff. So here's the thing about Deponia. You have the original Deponia trilogy, the Complete Journey. Excellent games. Really loved them. Then after I played those, like a year or 2 later, Deponia Doomsday came out, the 4th Deponia game, and I was shocked that they did a 4th game, because the 3rd game has a very conclusive ending, and everyone hated the ending of Deponia 3. And with Deponia being so, like, jokey and fourth wall breaky, Deponia 4, literally, I think the game starts with the main character going, man, that ending sucked. We need to fix the ending. So Deponia Doomsday is like a time travel-y adventure game to, like, we gotta make the ending better. And it's really weird how this game, like, why this game exists. I'm gonna talk about this in dedicated videos eventually, because it is, there is a story behind Deponia Doomsday, but I'll just say for now that I actually don't really care too much for Deponia Doomsday's story. It's a fine point-and-click adventure game, but its entire point of addressing the ending of Deponia 3 that people did not like didn't work for me because I actually like the ending of Deponia 3. I think the ending of Deponia 3 was like perfect. And so the fourth game being all about, okay, no one liked the ending, let's address that, it just felt unnecessary to me. But because of that, there's some really interesting stuff to talk about Deponia, which I will definitely talk about one day. Very cool games. If you're only going to play one point-and-click adventure series that I recommend here, I would recommend checking out Deponia. It's really good. Though be warned, it's hard. Some of the logic puzzles here are fucking difficult. Yes, and then sadly the studio shut down because of Lord of the Rings Gollum. I don't know what the fuck happened with that game. Corporate meddling. It's very sad, because they've made a lot of solid games. Anyway, Devil May Cry, the best action game series ever. Especially 3, 4, 5, especially 5. Fucking amazing games. I mean, I don't even need to say anything. It's fucking Devil May Cry. It's the peak of action game, video game gameplay. It's the best. I love it. Fuck yeah. Oh, Yoshi the Mage. Does it succeed in making the ending better? Referring to Deponia Doomsday? That's something I'm going to talk about. You have to play the game for yourself. I'll talk about it when I do the video on it, but you have to talk about it. You have to play it yourself to see, because that's what it's all about. Have I played Lies of P? No. I'll mention this a little bit. I've seen people talking about Lives of P so much, and I was like, what's the big deal? It's just another Souls-like ripoff. But apparently it's like at FromSoft quality levels, so I do want to check out Lies of P, actually. I don't have DMC Devil May Cry. No, I don't. And that's not because I don't like the game. I actually do like DMC Devil May Cry. It's not a Devil May Cry game, but it's a good character action game. The reason it's not here is because I have I think it's the Definitive Edition, which is only on console. I have it on my Xbox. Am I a big Bloodborne fan? Yeah, of course. So yeah, Devil May Cry, great. Doom 2016, fucking amazing game. Love Doom 2016, so good. Really fucking fun shooter. The amazing music by Mick Gordon that kicks ass. Yeah, they really knocked it out of the park with this kind of revival of Doom. I'm not a big fan of Doom. I don't really care for the original Doom games. But this game, fucking sick. Haven't played Doom Eternal yet, as you can see that it's not here. But I certainly want to, because the first one was already phenomenal, and apparently the second one, like, blows this one out of the water, which, how does that even happen? This game is so fucking good. I guess I'll see one day, and I'll definitely do videos on it. Double Dragon Neon, not a huge fan of the Double Dragon series overall. There's a lot of Double Dragon games over the decades that have been released, but this one's by WayForward, and it's a pretty solid beat-em-up. I guess I won't go into too much detail with beat-em-ups, because a lot of them are very samey, but this is a good one, and it's very quirky and fun and charming. It's good. It's good. Dust Force, talked about this in one of my Sonic Light games. Really cool, really fun 2D action platformer with really interesting, unique, cool movement mechanics, where you can wall run and ceiling run, and it has momentum mechanics and everything. It's a cool fucking game. Very, very difficult. One of the hardest games I've ever played. I have not beaten this game, because the final couple of levels get so hard that I just can't do it. I just cannot do it. And that's pretty sick. There are very few games I've played in my life where I just need to stop because I can't go any further. But yeah, this is a phenomenal game. I will say, the music is not very good. I turned off the music and played my own stuff while playing this game, because it's you can hear it. It's very, like, moody and atmospheric, and that does not match the game whatsoever. It's a very high-paced, action-packed, intense game. I don't know why they went for this sound font for it, but definitely recommended. Excellent game. It also has a level editor and like 200 custom levels built right into the game. So yeah. Edna and Harvey, another Daedalic point and click. Really, really good. I'm just gonna move on. Elden Ring, Souls game. Honestly, one of my least favorites. I feel that Elden Ring is very, very bloated. I think the game did not need to be 100 hours long. I think it could have been 50, and it probably would have been no worse. It probably would have been just as good, if not better, because there's a lot of copy and paste in this game, and there's a couple of issues with this game's design that I do not like. It's still a fantastic game. I still really like it, but as far as Souls games go, it's actually on the lower end for me. I would put it above Dark Souls 2, but probably below everything else, including Demon Souls. But that's not really me bad-mouthing the game, because all those games above it are 10 out of 10s already. So this, like, 8/9 out of 10 is, you know, still excellent. Polo AP, no, I'm not taking Steam friend requests. I like to keep my friends to my actual friends. Sorry. Enter the Gungeon. Very solid roguelike, top-down twin-stick shooter. I actually like this game more than Binding of Isaac, because this game is much, much more skill-based than Binding of Isaac is. Because, like I said, Binding of Isaac, you get combos and you just annihilate rooms. That doesn't really happen in Enter the Gungeon. You get different weapons, and sometimes you might get slightly different builds that are better than others, but for the most part, it's all about your skill dodging shots, and it gets really, really hard towards the endgame stuff, and it's really, really fun. Very replayable, as roguelikes are obviously designed to be. My favorite roguelike that I've ever played, though that's mostly just because I haven't played a lot of roguelikes. I have not played Hades, I have not played Dead Cells, but yeah, Enter the Gungeon. Excellent game. Highly recommended. Let's see. Evil Within. Shinji Mikami did the first one. He didn't do the second one, but these are your typical third-person, over-the-shoulder survival horror shooters. Oh, this is like a first-person mode. I didn't know they added that. That's cool. Yeah. Very Resident Evil-like, as Shinji Mikami made Resident Evil 4. It's got a lot of similarities to that, and they're pretty good games. They're solid. Yeah, I guess I don't really have much to say. It's, I like these kinds of games, these types of horror shooters, and these are good ones. The Fall. Okay, we gotta talk about The Fall. We gotta talk about The Fall. I want to do videos on The Fall. The Fall is extremely underrated. Not a lot of people know about The Fall, but The Fall is one of my favorite video game stories that I've ever encountered. Very, very, very interesting. It's kind of a point-and-click adventure game, but it's not point-and-click. You control a character on a 2D plane, and you move around, and there's a little bit of gun-shooting combat here and there, but there's not much of it. It is mostly like logic puzzles and adventure game and story and narrative. And it is really, really interesting. Very moody, very atmospheric. It deals with AI and robots and stuff, which is a topic that is really fascinating to me. I love stories about that. And I'll just say, okay, the premise of the first Fall is all you need. The first Fall is you control an AI on board like a space flight suit. And your pilot is in some sort of space wreck, and he crashes onto this planet, and you have to try to get him to safety. He's unconscious in your suit, so the AI takes control, and you have to try to get him to safety and get him medical attention. And there's a lot of interesting stuff about, like, you have a bunch of protocols of keep your pilot alive, keep him safe, protect him, but sometimes you have to do things to, like, circumvent your AI protocols, where, like, you put your... like, you're not allowed to use your gun, for example. This is kind of like one small puzzle in the game. You're not allowed to use your gun because you don't have authorization. But there's a turret blocking the way forward, so you just can't go forward. But if you just stay here, then your pilot's going to die. So you go into the turret as the solution to the puzzle and start shooting at you, which then puts you in an emergency situation, allowing the AI to override the protocols and take out your gun and start shooting. And then it's like, well, I just willingly put my pilot in danger. Should I have done that? Yes, I should have done that, because that was for the benefit of my pilot, because if I didn't do that, he would die. And then that starts to, like, you're kind of getting around your AI programming, and then it opens up, and it gets really, really unique and interesting, and then it goes on to more, you know, AI existential stuff, and then it even goes beyond that in Fall Part 2 Unbound, and it goes to, like, really, really interesting thematic stuff. I love these games. They are so, so, so good. Highly, highly, highly recommended. I love them, and there's a third game they're working on, and I can't wait for it. Far Lone Sails. This is another obscure one. Normally, I would think this might not be my kind of game, but it kind of clicked with me for whatever reason. This is a very slow-paced, moody, atmospheric game. Not a lot going on here in terms of, like, gameplay and mechanics. basically, you just have to get to the end of the game on the far right side of everything, and you have this giant vehicle that you are driving, and you have to manually control all of its different aspects. It's got like multiple floors, and you're moving up and down, and you have to refuel it and let out steam, and you have to make sure that it's like going in the right direction and that the sails are up so you get enough wind. And it's not really too hectic where you're like, oh, I gotta do all these things at once. It's very slow-paced and calm and relaxing, but it's very experience-like. You see there, like, lightning bolt takes out your sail, you can't go forward, so you have to go out on foot, find things to repair the sail, go through tough weather. Very, very cool little atmospheric game, and there's a sequel out that I haven't played yet, but I want to. Very solid game. Would recommend it. Firewatch, definitely normally not my kind of game, but again, it kind of did it for me. It is, a very interesting first-person narrative, kind of walking sim type game. Good character interactions, good writing here. I don't want to talk too much about it, but, because there's a lot to spoil here, but it's really good. If you just like solid writing, I would say check out Firewatch. It's good. Flower, used to be a PlayStation game, now available on PC. Really, really good game. Not too much of a game once again. Mostly it's about the experience. Flower is a very interesting game to me because Flower is a story without any story. It takes you through the ups and downs and the three-act structure and the climax and the crescendo and the resolution, everything. It has all the beats of a story. It uses storytelling aspects, but there's no narrative. There's nothing happening in Flower. It just kind of abstractly conveys all of these feelings and ideas to you of what a story would be, but there's no actual story. And it's really interesting and very unique and very cool. Highly recommended. Far too Sega for you. For a lot of these indie games, did I find them myself because I was curious, or did people recommend them to me? Mostly it was me just browsing around and finding interesting things. I like to kind of dig through stuff and find, obscure games that people have never heard of before. Like, that's how I found Cloud Build. It came up on my Steam recommended one day, and I was like, oh, what's this? Oh! And that's the same for a lot of these games, like The Fall or Far. Just games I randomly found one day. Dust Force is another one like that. The Daedalic Deponia games. Yeah, just like stuff I stumble across. Freedom Planet. What do I even need to say about Freedom Planet? It's 2D Sonic, but I'll just say this, better than any Sonic game. I love Freedom Planet. It's so fucking good. It's a lot of what I wish they would do with 2D Sonic, of not just doing the same shit over and over, but expanding it and doing more with it and developing it further and taking it more in new directions, and it's cool. And it's got charming characters. The story is kind of bad, but I like it. The voice acting is kind of bad, but it's cute. There's a charm to Freedom Planet that they're really giving it their all and doing their best. And it's very endearing. And then the actual gameplay is legitimately phenomenal. So yeah, Freedom Planet. Haven't played the second one yet, but I have it now. This game, this is another one that I just randomly stumbled on Steam one day. I saw it and I was like, whoa, this looks like Sonic, cool. And then I played it and it was glorious. It was glorious. Fucking love Freedom Planet. Fury. This is a very cool game. Another one of those obscure indie games that just randomly came my way. An awesome action boss battler game. It's just bosses. I think there's like 9 or 10 of them in the game. And it's just fucking sick. It's really fucking hard. It's one of the hardest games I've ever played. This game has like normal mode, which is already really hard, and then you beat it and you unlock like ultra super duper hard mode, where you fight all the bosses again, but now they have like new attacks and new attack patterns, and they're way more difficult. And beating the game on the second difficulty was extremely tough. The final couple of bosses took me forever. But holy shit, this game is awesome. Highly recommended. Awesome music, cool aesthetics, cool style, fucking phenomenal gameplay. Yeah. Yeah, look at this game. It's sick. 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 And this put the Game Bakers on the map for me. And we'll see another one of their games later on. Garden Guardian made a video on this game. This game was made by Liam Allen Miller, who used to be part of Super Best Friends Play, and then he went on to do the Rising Super stream for a while. He was a content creator that I was a really big fan of. I followed him a lot. But he has since kind of stopped doing it. He sometimes does stuff a little bit with Matt McMuscles. He shows up there sometimes, but these days he's mainly a game developer, and this was his first game that he put out, and I wanted to check it out to support him because I like him. He's a cool dude. And then it's actually a really solid game. It's a Game & Watch style game. Very, very, very basic gameplay, but it's really fun. It's really well designed, actually. It's very enjoyable. I would recommend this if you're into short, simple, little fun action games. It's really good. It's really good, surprisingly so. Gears 5, I adore the Gears of War series. Gears of War is my favorite shooter franchise ever. I fucking love Gears of War. It has such unique gameplay that's unlike anything else here. These are crappy trailers that don't show you a lot of good gameplay, but I've done a couple of videos of Gears in the past, multiplayer matches. I love Gears. I'll definitely be talking about Gears more in the future. I even kind of like the story of the original Gears games. The new era of Gears 4 and 5... stories suck in these games, but the gameplay of 5 is really solid. I think the multiplayer here is really fun. Horde mode is really fun. The campaign is really fun. Yeah, I fucking love Gears. The thing about Gears is that it's very up-close, in-your-face combat, and you have a lot of health, so it's not just you see a guy and he dies. And, I saw it described once, in the best way I've ever heard it, that someone described when you get into a shotgun fight in Gears, which happens approximately every 15 seconds, it feels more like a sword fight than a gunfight, and that is so accurate. Gears is so in-your-face and intense and fun. I fucking love it. It's great. Thanks for hanging out, Danny Ben S. I appreciate it. Grim Fandango, another Tim Schafer point-and-click adventure game from back in the LucasArts days. Really good story. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. Guacamelee. These are some fantastic Metroidvania games. Especially the second one is just the first one, but better in every way. But they're both fantastic. Very fun, Mexican-inspired style. You're a luchador. It's got really cool combat, fun platforming, good Metroidvania stuff, good abilities you unlock. Quirky and fun little stories through them. They're good enough. But it's really all about the gameplay here. Some of the best Metroidvanias, like in the pre-Hollow Knight days, these were the best indie Metroidvanias around, in my opinion. And they're still some of the best. They're still excellent. I would definitely recommend them. Yeah, Guacamelee kind of plays a little bit like Smash Bros. With its controls and mechanics, and it's very fun. Much better than like Subspace Emissary or anything. Guilty Gear. I love the Guilty Gear games. These are the two I've played, Strive and Xrd. Strive is really good. It's really good, for sure. But Xrd is actually my preference, because Strive, they kind of tone down Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is, like, ridiculous. It's so off-the-wall, crazy, so fast-paced, so many absurd mechanics. Your characters can do the most insane shit ever. And with Strive, they were kind of like, okay, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's make things more accessible to new players. Yeah, they added rollback to Xrd, by the way, which is awesome. So it plays great online now. Awesome visual style in these two games with the 3D that looks like 2D. It's amazing. Awesome visual style just in general. Great music. Even, you know what? I don't hate the story of the Guilty Gear games. It's like the only fighting game series that I know the story and I actually kind of like it. Because interestingly, with Guilty Gear, they do something that no other game does. No other fighting game does. The story mode, there's no gameplay. It's just an anime inside the video game. Like, literally, Guilty Gear Strive has 4.5 hours of cutscenes. It's just an anime. And it's not bad, actually. It's okay. Yeah, like, Strive is toned down considerably compared to Xrd, and a lot of people say that Xrd is toned down from the previous game, Guilty Gear XX, which I've not played, but I would believe it. I mean, Xrd is still pretty cool. It's still a very fun game for sure, but it's not as fun for me as Xrd is. Xrd is crazier, and I like that more. Luminous Avenger X, I talked about this before when I was talking Gunvault. I did a video on this. I think this was actually the second video I ever did on my channel talking about Luminous Avenger X, because this game has really fun, really cool movement, very fast-paced. It's what I talked about before. Go check out my video. It's kind of crappy because it's old, but it's good. Hand of Fate. This is roguelike Batman Arkham. It has the exact Arkham combat, but it's in a roguelike structure. And it's got this cool framing that it's like you're playing a card game against this card dealer guy. And he lays out the deck as like a dungeon for you to play through. And you pick a card, and then that's an encounter. And it might be an opportunity for you to get some gold or some loot that you can use to upgrade your character, or it'll be a combat encounter, and then you go into Batman Arkham combat, and it's pretty fun. I like Batman Arkham combat, and this is just that in a roguelike setting, and it works. It's good. Have I played Defunct? Yeah, I talked about it earlier in this stream. Hat in Time. Oh my god. A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time. This is the best. This is the best. As far as, like, you know, light, simple 3D platformer collectathons go, this is it. This is it. This is everything. I adore 3D platformer collectathons because I grew up with those games as a kid, and I played so many of them, and A Hat in Time, it takes everything that those games from that era were doing, and it just does it better than all of them. It doesn't have the most amazing gameplay in the world, I will say, but that's fine for me. Like, it's very simple, straightforward 3D platforming. It's really not doing anything special, but for A Hat in Time, it's all about the charm. It really is. Like, this game is so cute, so creative, so fun, so funny. I don't even give a fuck about the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is good. It's fun. It's a fun game to play, but it's not like, holy shit, the movement mechanics are amazing and the level design is superb or anything like that. It has that kind of Banjo-Kazooie quality where it's just so pleasant to play through. And it's amazing. I love it. I fucking love it. It's so cute. It's an absurdly adorable game. Yeah, I cannot say enough good things about A Hat in Time. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. This was another game that I just randomly stumbled on. I saw it. It was like, oh, okay, 3D platformer, old school, looks good. And then I saw it had a bizarrely high number of overwhelmingly positive reviews. And I was like, what the heck? What's going on with this game? So I bought it then and there and played it. And I was like, yep, it deserves that. Absolutely. Because this game is fucking amazing. Play it. Play it. Play A Hat in Time. So good. Haven. This is another game by the Game Bakers, who did Fury, and it's a very different game than Fury. This was, I think, the first game I did a review of on my channel, and it is a really solid game. It's, it's an RPG. Yeah, it's got, like, kind of turn-based combat, but it's kind of real-time. You control each of the characters simultaneously, but you have, like, to queue up your actions, so you have to, like, deal with, like, the enemy attacks in between your attacks. And in between that, you're exploring these islands and collecting resources and stuff. But this is a game where the strong suit is really the story. The writing is really good. The story, the characters, it's very nice. It's a very different game than Fury. But it's solid. I didn't even really know very much about this game going into it. I was just like, it's the next game by the Game Bakers who did Fury, so I'm gonna buy it and play it. And I did, and it was excellent. The Game Bakers are 2 for 2 for me so far. They have not let me down thus far. So I would recommend it. Very good game. Yeah, it kind of has a similar visual style to Rime. But I like it much more than Rime. I didn't really care for Rime. Hi-Fi Rush. I did a whole video review of this. Fantastic game. Awesome rhythm, character action game. Not going to talk about it too much because I have the whole video on it. Go check that out if you want my more elaborate thoughts. But this game's fucking amazing. By the same developers that made The Evil Within, which is like, what the fuck? This is such a different kind of game, but it's awesome. It's great. It's so good. And it actually has a pretty fun story. So yeah. Great. Love it. Hollow Knight. It's Hollow Knight. Do I need to say anything? It's Hollow Knight. It's Hollow Knight. It's Hollow Knight. It's the best Metroidvania ever by anyone. It's incredible. Visually, it's amazing. It's got fantastic gameplay, great world design, very open-ended Metroidvania elements. It's Hollow Knight. Incredible music. I actually backed this game on Kickstarter way back in the day. I was a Hollow Knight fan before it was cool. Funny story about Hollow Knight. When I first ever initially played the game when it came out, I hated it. I thought it was terrible. I was not getting into it at all, but there was something nagging at me in the back of my head that was like, I should go back to this game. There's something there. And for whatever reason, when I went back the second time, it clicked for me, and I was like, no, what the fuck was I on about? This game is phenomenal. And you know what's interesting? That exact same thing happened to me when I played Dark Souls for the first time. And that's cool, because this game is obviously very influenced by Dark Souls. And it's the best. It's the best. It's the best. Am I excited for Silksong? Yeah, if it ever comes out one day, eventually, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one day our great-grandchildren will get to play Silksong, but Hollow Knight, the best. Hover. So this is an interesting game. This is an indie game inspired by Jet Set Radio, but it's a very different game from many, many years ago. It's an open world kind of parkour game. Got a cool visual style. It's got some good music. They got Hideki Naganuma to do a few tracks for the game. It's not an amazing game, truthfully. It's a very like generic kind of open world game, mission based, and the missions aren't that great. But the movement in this game is quite fun to just run around the city, jump around. It's just enjoyable to be in this world, listening to this music, jumping around. It's cool. You can play it in first person or third person. Yeah, and it's even got online. You can play with other people and stuff. It's an alright game. I would recommend it if you're a big fan of like Jet Set Radio or cool movement games and just like messing around in a fun sandbox. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Oh, Hyper Fight. Okay, I'm not going to show anything about Hyper Fight. Hyper Fight is a fighting game. It's free. You can get it on Steam. Get it. Play it. Get a friend and check out Hyper Fight, even if you're not a fighting game player. Hyper Fight is a fantastic beginner fighting game. You know, there's a lot of beginner fighting games out there, and a lot of them aren't that great to me, but Hyper Fight is actually really fun. It simplifies a lot about fighting games without sacrificing the depth and the fun. It's very unique, very interesting, and it's very funny. Play this with a friend and you'll know what I'm talking about. But Hyper Fight, you gotta check this game out. It's very, very cool. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Indivisible. Indivisible is a very cool game by Lab Zero Games, the makers of Skullgirls, which you can definitely tell when you look at the game visually. It's got their same animation style. And it's a cool Metroidvania kind of RPG action game, sort of. It's, I forget what it's called. It's inspired by Valkyrie Profile, I think, is an old, I think, PS1 RPG that it gets its combat influence from. But it's got a lot of action game elements. It's by fighting game developers, so it has a lot of stuff going on there. I think it's got a pretty cool story. It's a good game. I enjoyed it. Liketh, apparently, did not enjoy it. But I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. It goes full Gurren Lagann at the end, which I always appreciate. It's got fun characters, good voice acting in this game too. Yeah, that was good. I like it. Recommended. Is the HD collection of DMC worth it? Yeah, I think so. Insecticide. Okay, here's another one of those weird, obscure-ass games that I found that no one's ever heard of. Insecticide is, it's made by ex-LucasArts developers, some of which also worked on, like, things like Psychonauts. You can tell it has a very similar visual style. It has a similar music as well to Psychonauts. And it is a point-and-click adventure game mixed with, like, a Ratchet and Clank-style 3D platformer shooter. And it's not an amazing game, but it's quite charming and cool and interesting and different. Unfortunately, you can see it's Insecticide Part 1, but the game sold horribly and there was never a Part 2, so it's unfinished. There's only the first half of the story. But it's a cool little experience, and I like it. Oh, donation. Thank you very much, Francis T218. He's back at it again. They're back at it again, I should say. Best Sonic games not on Steam. I don't know, probably like Sonic Heroes, Sonic Unleashed. Yeah, I mean, those are the ones, right? A lot of Sonic games are on Steam, so... where was I? Oh yeah, Insecticide, Jet Set Radio. It's Jet Set Radio. Oh yeah, Advance 3, duh. Advance 3 is my favorite Sonic game. Rush. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of Sonic games off the top of my head for some reason. Is Jet Set Radio. I made a video on the Jet Set Radio games. Gameplay-wise, they're not the most amazing games in the world, but they got very good style, great music, great visuals, and they're fun enough, I think, especially the first game. Yeah, a bit of games overload. I'm just fucking going here, and it's crazy. And there's so many games. So many games. Oh my god. It's Jet Set Radio. It's good. Bomber Cyberfunk is a worthy successor to the Jet Set Radio games. Journey. Is Journey. Everybody knows Journey, right? Very atmospheric, moody game. Very good, very effective at conveying the emotions that it wants to convey. Very, very cool game. It was a very wonderful experience playing it for the first time. Highly recommended. I don't want to say too much about it if you haven't played it, but you should check it out. Francis T218, thank you again for a donation. Is Sonic Advance 1 worth it for more Genesis-like 2D? Absolutely. I would put Sonic Advance right up there with the original Genesis games. I like it more than Sonic 1 and CD, so there you go. Pillars of the Earth. This is another Daedalic point-and-click adventure game based on the novel Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, which I've never read the novel. I just picked this up because it's another Daedalic point-and-click adventure game, and it's really good. Really good story. You can definitely tell it's based on a novel. It feels like a novel. Very, very long game, but really, really good. Really solid. Nice, charming visual style to it. If you like point-and-clicks, it's another good one by Daedalic, as they always do. Okay, Chimera Destroy All Monster Girls. Yet another obscure indie game no one's ever heard of that I found. If you like Shovel Knight, get Chimera Destroy All Monster Girls. It's like the same exact kind of retro 2D platformer, kind of Mega Man-y, very NES-y. And I know visually it kind of looks like shit, and it does. But it's really, really good. It has really good level design, really good gameplay, and it's very charming and cute. It's got fun characters, fun writing. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. Killer Instinct. Oh, Killer Instinct. I'm going to be making videos about Killer Instinct. I'm going to tell you that right now. Killer Instinct was the fighting game that got me into fighting games, and it is my favorite fighting game to this day. Killer Instinct is absurd. It is ridiculous. It is the most bonkers fighting game I've ever played. It has such crazy characters with the most insane abilities you've ever seen. It's an old game. It was an Xbox One launch game, so it's not visually the most amazing thing in the world. I think it's got okay character designs. I think they're pretty cool looking, if you can get used to the visual style. The music is by Mick Gordon, who would go on to do the Doom soundtracks, and he fucking killed it in this game. Has fantastic online play, and you know what? It's also a very simple fighting game. Anyone can play Killer Instinct. It doesn't require really complex motions or anything. If you can shoot a fireball and do a Dragon Punch in Street Fighter, you can do almost every single move in Killer Instinct. It's very simple and straightforward, and it has a very beginner-friendly combo system that's easy to do, and you don't have to memorize very much at all in Killer Instinct because of its combo system. It's great. I love it. I fucking love it. And it's actually getting a new update, like 5 years after the game kind of died. Technically inept. Combos are not your problem. If you mean, I guess that means you're okay with combos, or you don't like them. I'm not sure. But Don't worry about combos in Killer Instinct. There is no memorizing optimal damage combos or anything. That doesn't matter in this game. That is worthless information in 99% of cases. Because of how the combo system works. I won't get into nitty-gritty details. Yeah, there's Rash from Battletoads is in this. It has Arbiter from Halo. It has Rom from Gears of War as guest characters because this is an Xbox game. Okay, combos are the least of your concerns of why you don't play fighting games. Okay. Well, all I'll say is I love Killer Instinct. It's the best. I think it's the most fun fighting game I've ever played. It is insane. I love it. Kingsbird talked about this in another Sonic-like video. A game that was actually inspired by Dust Force. And it's a very, very cool game. It's got some cool flight mechanics. Yeah. Look at this game. It looks cool, don't it? It is cool. You should check it out. Tivy, thank you for the donation. If I like stealth, I should try Thief 1 and 2. Still the best stealth in any game, in your opinion, though they are kind of jank at times, being from 98/2000. I've never played the Thief games, but they are on my list. I want to play them eventually, so I'm already there. Am I ready for the KI update? Oh, I'm so ready for the KI update. Get ready for videos, because when that comes out, I'm going to be fucking playing. King's Quest. Never played any of the old school King's Quest games. This is the only one I've played, and it's a solid adventure game. It's good. It's fun. Yeah, it's another adventure game. Good puzzles, good story, good characters. It's good. Check it out. Left 4 Dead 2. I just Left 4 Dead 2. Moving on. Legend of Korra. This game is no longer available, so I can't even go to the store page to show you gameplay of it, but it's a Platinum game licensed around Legend of Korra. It's an okay game as a character action game. It's simple, it's short, but it's pretty fun. This was still in those early days of Platinum doing really good with stuff, and yeah, it's not the most amazing character action game in the world, but if... Why is it no longer playable? Because Activision lost a license, so they can't sell it anymore. You can still play the game if you have it, but you can't buy it anymore. But it is an okay little game. Lethal League Blaze. Very cool game. Very unique fighting game that's like Death Pong, baseball, something. This was made before Bomb Rush Cyberpunk by the same developers, and you can see that they were all already on that Jet Set Radio visual style. They had Naganuma do some music for this game, too. And it's so cool. You can't hit your opponent. The only way to hit your opponent is to hit the ball into them. So it's all about, like, angles and controlling the ball and trying to mix your opponent up and get their timing wrong. It's very cool. Very cool game. Very unique. Unlike any other fighting game you've ever played. Definitely check it out. No Lethal League 1? No, simply because Lethal League Blaze is just bigger and better. There's no reason to play Lethal League 1, just play Blaze. Mark of the Ninja Remastered. A really cool, solid 2D stealth game, which is pretty rare. There's not a lot of 2D stealth games, but this is a very good one that, it does it all pretty damn well. I like this game a lot. It's cool, and it's got nice, stylish, hand-drawn animation and visuals. Yeah, good game. Check out Mark of the Ninja. Okay, Mass Effect. So I got Mass Effect Legendary Edition here, which is the original trilogy, but then I also have Mass Effect 3 here. Why do I have this separately? Because Mass Effect 3 has awesome multiplayer, and that is not in Legendary Edition. Mass Effect 3's multiplayer is like a co-op horde mode, and it's so much fun. So many characters with so many crazy abilities and stuff. I have played way too many hours of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. It is bizarre how good it is. And these days, EA doesn't check the servers or anything anymore, so you can just use the console commands and just give yourself everything unlocked in infinite money, so you can just buy all the characters and everything's. Yeah. Fun multiplayer, but then of course the meat of Mass Effect is the main trilogy, and they are wonderful. I love the Mass Effect games. Gameplay-wise, 1 is really rough, but the story is very good, so it's worth it to power through. 2, the gameplay gets a lot better. 3, I think the gameplay gets really, really fun. Of course, 3 drops the ball with the ending. Everybody knows that. But still, the overall package of Mass Effect is incredible, and I love these games. Andromeda sucked. Yeah. Mass Effect. So good. This is like the only, like, Western RPG series like this that I kind of like. But that's mainly because it's more of like a shooter with some RPG elements. And I just love the world and the setting and all the different races and characters. The writing and world building in Mass Effect is some of the best I've ever seen. It's so good. How many games do I have? Total on my Steam library, I have almost 600 games. These 200 are my favorites. These are like the games that I actually care about, and everything else is just like stuff that I tried and didn't like or whatever. Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3? Well, obviously Mass Effect 2 is the better game, of course. 3 has better gameplay, in my opinion, but 2 is just overall the better package, for sure. The Messenger, someone asked about this earlier. Messenger, very cool game. 2D platformer, another like Ninja Gaiden-esque NES-style game. But then halfway through the game, it goes through a big shift, and it's very cool what happens. It's a solid game. I don't want to show too much because it's kind of spoilers, but Messenger, really good game. And it's also got some pretty good writing. It's quite a funny game. It's quite interesting. People going stunned over the amount of games I have in my Steam library. Do I have an exorbitantly large Steam library? I guess probably compared to most people. But, you know, I've been PC gaming for, like, almost 2 decades at this point. So, you know, Steam sales come around every so often. You pick up a bunch of games that you never get around to playing. And eventually, you work through them. Eventually. So yeah, I guess I got a lot of Steam games. Liketh has 500 plus. Tivy says 600 is nothing. Okay, so there's some people that have even more insane libraries than me. Good to know that I'm not that crazy. Or maybe I am, but other people are just even more crazy. That's true. Most people probably have like 15 games on their Steam libraries. That's very true. But, you know, most gamers, I would say, they play a lot of games. And I guess also part of this is that I don't really play much on console. Like, literally the only things I play on console are console exclusives. Everything else I get on PC. So, that's just how it is. Oh my god. Steelers Rock has 2,600 games on Steam? My goodness. And of course, keep in mind, this is only my Steam library. I do have my console games and, you know, emulated games and other PC games not on Steam. So there's even more than this. But I figure 200 on Steam is already a ton. So we're making through. We're making progress. We're over halfway. Look at the progress bar. We're over halfway through. So we're doing good. Just got to keep going. How's this going, by the way? How's everyone enjoying this? Is this fun? I thought this would be a cool idea to talk about games, because everyone's always asking me my opinions on games and stuff. Shweet has less than 100. He plays about 5 regularly. People are having fun. People are liking this. Cool. I thought this would be an interesting, different thing I could do for a stream. I've been kind of thinking after my last stream of Polyroll where I was playing, I don't know if I actually want to stream playing games too much. I might want to try some different things, because my favorite thing about streaming is talking with you guys and interacting and stuff, and when I'm playing a game, I can't focus on the game, which is distracting and I don't like, but also I can't read chat as much as I want to, so it's unoptimal for me both ways. So I might try different things for streams in the future, and we'll see how it goes. Something like this, where I'm not actually playing a game, and I can see chat, and I can talk with you guys and respond. I thought this might be a good experiment to try. Yeah, that's kind of the thing I'm talking about, Liketh. Like, maybe I'll just, like, play a game on my own, record it, and then just have the footage up, and then it'll be in the background, and we'll just talk, and I'll just talk about the game at various different points when I have something to say. Kind of like a live review / hangout at the same time sort of thing. Might try something like that. We'll see how it goes, but not sure. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, a lot of people adding games to their Steam wish lists. Yeah, I also figured, with the Steam holiday sale going on right now, the autumn sale, if anything here catches your fancy, you can go pick it up. Tier list streams. I have ideas for tier list videos, but I don't know if I would do streams of it. Maybe. I don't want to do a lot of tier lists because that's some really crappy content. That's content right there. I don't like the word content, but tier lists, that's content. So I really only have an idea for one tier list I want to do for Sonic games. I don't plan on doing a million of them all the time. Anyway, let's get back into things now. Metal Gear Solid 5 and Ground Zeroes is, an extension to it. Phenomenal game. The most technically impressive stealth game I've ever played, with the systems and the complexity and the AI and how many things you can do in this game. Like, just the controls alone, you can make Snake do like 200 different actions in this game that all do different things, and the AIs are so complex. They have, different patrol routes, and they swap out at day and night, and like, there is so much to MGS5 as a stealth game that makes it so cool. Thing is, it's the only MGS game I've ever played, so I skipped through all the cutscenes because I figure I'm not going to get the story, and I honestly didn't care. I'm going to go through the MGS games eventually one day in proper release order, and then I'll probably revisit 5 and take in the story that way for full context so I can fully enjoy everything. But just judging MGS5 purely on gameplay, it's probably the best stealth game I've ever played. It's just so amazing. I know it's a bit unfinished toward the end of the game, and you can definitely feel that, but I'm not too bothered by it. The core gameplay is amazing. Rhyme says skipping cutscenes is wild. It's only because I want to get into Metal Gear Solid, and I don't want to spoil myself of previous games. So I will come back, and I will appreciate the cutscenes at the right time. Night of the Rabbit. Another solid Daedalic point-and-click adventure game. This one has a nice little premise. It's a little boy that he gets shrunk down into a tiny world of talking animals, and he's trying to figure out how he can, return himself back to normal. It has very, like, fairy tale vibes going on to it. But he gets all caught up in the local things going on in this small town of talking animals, and it's good. It's quite good. It's very fun. Solid point-and-click adventure by Daedalic again. I'm so sad that the studio shut down, because they just made banger after banger after banger with point-and-click adventure games, and then they did Gollum for some reason. MGS is the weakest in terms of story. MGS 5, I've heard that. I don't know. I guess I'll have to see. Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, some of the best action games ever made, especially the first one. This game is beyond incredible. It's so good. It's so good. Also absurdly difficult. Stop with all the story cutscene crap. Just show gameplay. They don't show any gameplay. It's all this garbage. There's some gameplay. Yeah. Ninja Gaiden has a reputation as being, like, super duper ultra hard, and it deserves its reputation because it is super duper ultra hard, and it's fantastic. Awesome gameplay. I believe the original Ninja Gaiden actually predates DMC3, so at the time it would have been the best action game ever made. Do I think cutscenes should be in trailers? I'd rather we focus less on cutscenes and focus on the game in game trailers. I find it very annoying. I normally skip to the gameplay when I'm looking at game trailers. Is Master Collection any good? I haven't actually played it. I played these games on Xbox, so I don't know if these versions specifically are good. I know some people don't like that they went with the Sigma versions of 1 and 2. Some people prefer Ninja Gaiden Black for 1 and the original Ninja Gaiden 2 for 2. But I've played both versions of both games, and in my opinion, the Sigma versions are the superior versions, so I'm glad they went with that. If these are just direct ports of the Sigma and Razor's Edge versions, then yeah, these would be a great way to play the Ninja Gaiden games. I haven't actually checked them out yet because I just played them on other stuff, but yeah, Ninja Gaiden, excellent, excellent. Ori is super good, especially the second one, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Very, very good Metroidvanias. Incredible visuals. These games are absolutely gorgeous. And they have nice little simple stories, very minimal storytelling, but very good storytelling. And the gameplay, they're, solid 2D platformer Metroidvanias. But the second one is a massive improvement over the first one in every single way. It's actually one of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. Up there with, comparable to Hollow Knight. And it has really good combat. It actually has genuinely fantastic, 2D character action-esque combat. It's bizarre how good the combat in this game is. And just overall, it's incredible. It's amazing. Probably, one of the best exclusives that Xbox has. Yeah, so good. Outer Wilds, I have shilled a million times. Outer Wilds is the best game I've ever played, and I'm not going to say anything about it. It's the best game ever. You should get it right now on a Steam sale. Play it. Play it. It's the best game ever. The best game, the best story in a game ever. Honestly, the best story I've ever encountered. It's the best. It's the best everything. Pac-Man Museum Plus. I like Pac-Man games. I picked this up on sale one day, and I tried it out, and I just went through all the different Pac-Man games in this collection. Pac-Man is fun. I was surprised at how good I found Pac-Man to be. My favorite of the games in this collection was Championship Edition. I guess my favorites were Championship Edition, the original, I think Pac-Man Arrangement it's called. The Pac-Man that has, nicer sprite art and animation, and, has the, power-ups for the ghosts and stuff, and the speed boosts. That game's really good. That and Championship Edition are the best games in this collection, in my opinion. Ever play the Pac-Man platformers? I have. I don't like them. I don't care for them. They're very basic, simple platformers. Not really my thing. Persona 4 Golden. I haven't actually played Golden specifically. I've only played the original PS2 Persona 4. And it's Persona 4. It's amazing. Is Persona 4. Actually, though, out of the, new Persona games, it's my least favorite. I like 5 and 3 both more than this. Persona 3 is my favorite of the Persona games. And I don't have Persona 3 Portable here, because Portable... I played Persona 3 FES, and Portable is lacking a lot of stuff that FES has, and I'm not a big fan of it, so I prefer FES, which is not on Steam. There is, of course, that new Persona 3 remake coming out, which I am interested in. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, Persona 4 is still a fantastic game. And Persona 5, I don't have Royal either. I just haven't bought it yet. I played Persona 5 on PS4. Never knew I was a Persona fan. Yeah, I love Persona. 3 is my favorite. The story in 3 is really, really good. Thoughts on The Answer? I'm not a fan of The Answer. I think The Answer, gameplay-wise, whatever, but story-wise, The Answer is completely unnecessary, in my opinion. The original game had a perfect ending, and you don't need The Answer. Perspective. Does anyone know Perspective? This is a student game from DigiPen students, and it's like a first-person puzzle game. It's kind of like in that Portal-esque vibe of 2D platformers, where you switch or vibe of puzzle games, where you control this little 2D platformer guy, and then you stop, and then you go into first-person mode, and you position the camera to create, to make your character able to get to the end of the level. It's a very cool, unique, interesting little game. It's pretty good. It's kind of short, but it's solid. It's fun. Oh, do I like Cuphead? Cuphead's not here. I've never played Cuphead, so that's why it's not on this list. Plants vs. Zombies. Oh, good old Plants vs. Zombies. Everybody loves Plants vs. Zombies, right? This is the first tower defense game I ever played, and I adore Plants vs. Zombies. It's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful game. So fun, so simple, so straightforward, but so good, so entertaining. Yeah, PvZ is on Steam. It's just excellent. I love Plants vs. Zombies. The original is a beautiful game. And you know what? Plants vs. Zombies 2 on phones, it's also pretty good. It sucks that it's locked to phones and that it's got like a bunch of horrible microtransaction free-to-play crap. But the game is actually solid. Plants vs. Zombies 2 is good. The first game is definitely better. Yeah, I've seen Sweet that there's a mod that unfucks PvZ2, and I want to check that out one day. Who knows? Maybe I'll do videos on Plants vs. Zombies one day. If anyone's curious, I've also played some of the Garden Warfare, the third-person shooters. They're okay. They're fine. Whatever. And I think they're working on PvZ3, but I think it's in, like, development hell and it might never happen or something. It didn't look very good, so I'm not even too concerned about it. Whatever. But PvZ1, excellent game. PvZ2, also really good. I put Polyroll here. I finished the game. I got all the collectibles. Did the final level, true final boss. Yes, y'all saw me stream it. It's a solid game. It's a fun 2D platformer. I recommend it. It's a little Sonic-like, and it's good. Portal. I have Portal with RTX here. I didn't actually play Portal with RTX. I played the original Portal back in the day. But I picked up Portal RTX, and I messed around with it a little bit. My PC can handle it if I set the ray tracing to low, and it looks really good. And I assume it's just Portal, right? So I just put this here kind of just as a replacement for Portal 2. Obviously, Portal 2 is the better game. The two-player co-op is so much fun. Custom levels are awesome. You can play this game forever. I've never played any of those, like, fan-modded games of Portal 2. I know there's a lot of those on Steam. But I'll probably check those out eventually someday. Oh, is stream dying a bit? Okay, it's okay now. Good. 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 Just making sure. Just gonna take a sec. We still okay? We still alright? We still good? It was choppy for a bit. Technically, Inept is still stuck in buffering. We good now? Okay. Will I ever try out Cuphead? Yeah, eventually. I have it on my Steam wishlist. I'll get it at some point. Okay, we're good. So yeah, Portal. I mean, what's to say? It's Portal. It's like the top-rated game on Steam for a reason. I think it's the top-rated game on Steam. It's one of the top-rated games. And of course, amazing writing in Portal. Hilarious. The writers for Valve games in general, I forget his name. There's a specific guy that writes for Valve that does pretty much all of their games. TF2, Left 4 Dead, everything. He is a really, really good writer. He is like a clear cut above, like, most video game writers, honestly, in terms of comedy, but also just generally having an engaging plot. He's a really talented writer, and he also worked on the Psychonauts games, which is part of why those games have such a good story. Yes, Eric Wolpaw, that's his name. Thank you. Yes, Eric Wolpaw is a very, very good writer. Primordia, another point-and-click adventure game by Wormwood Studios, an indie developer. I think this was their first game, and this is a very cool, moody, atmospheric point-and-click adventure, once again dealing with AI and robots and stuff in a post-apocalyptic world where there are no more humans, it's just robots left. And it's very good. It's pretty cool. It gets very, like, allegorical. It's an interesting little game, and the visual style, it's very, like, old school 90s point-and-click adventure game with the pixel art and everything. It's good. It's solid. I would recommend it. It's very underrated, I think. Very obscure, but it's solid. Stanley Parable. That's a game that's not on this list, but I have played Stanley Parable, and it's very good. I don't have it here because I want to get Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, because there's just bigger and better Stanley Parable, so I'll be checking that out eventually. Pseudo Regalia streamed this game. Really good 3D platformer, Metroidvania, very cool movement mechanics, nice atmosphere. Looking forward to that map update, and then at that point, I'll have, like, no problems with this game. It's really good. Highly recommended. Psychonauts 1 and 2, excellent games. I said how I grew up on these kinds of 3D platformers back in the day, and this was cream of the crop. This was one of the best of them. I freaking love Psychonauts. This game is incredible. It's, again, similar to A Hat in Time. It's not the most amazing gameplay in the world. It's fun, but it really is all about the charm, the story, the world building. I've talked a lot about Tim Schafer games here so far, but I've not mentioned Tim Schafer, also an excellent writer. And Eric Wolpaw also worked on the Psychonauts games. Great world building, great characters, great writing, great stories, very engaging. Really good voice acting also in the Psychonauts games. They're just fantastic all around. Psychonauts 2, I will say, I found Psychonauts 2 to be slightly disappointing. I like Psychonauts 1 more, and there's a couple of things about Psychonauts 2 that I'm not the biggest fan of in terms of how the story ended up going and what they decided to do. But it's still a phenomenal game. I still really, really like it a lot. And I would still highly, highly recommend it, of course. But yeah, some things about it, both story and even gameplay-wise a little bit, I was a little let down by. Still a great game, though, for sure. Pyre. This is a very, very unique game. Anybody play Pyre? This is a Supergiant game, makers of Hades and a couple other things. Transistor they made. This is the only Supergiant game that I've played, and it is amazing. It is spectacular. It is a very bizarre kind of like sports-inspired game where you have like sort of a ball that you need to get into a net, basically. But it's very unique. You control one character at a time. You have to switch around and pass the ball and like get it to... And you have like these circles around your characters that enemy players, if they step on, then they get like eliminated for a couple seconds, and you can shoot them out, and that leaves you vulnerable. It's very, very cool. So the gameplay is good and interesting and unique, but also this game has fantastic writing and storytelling. I found the characters really interesting in this game. The art is fucking amazing. Just look at these character designs. And it has a lot of, like, making choices throughout the story, and it's really, really good. It's unlike anything else you've ever played before. And it's even got a two-player mode, and I've played it. It's very fun as two players. Extreme Soccer, you're joking, technically inept. I mean, that's not entirely wrong. It is kind of soccer, basketball-ish in terms of how it works gameplay-wise. But it's very unique and weird and different. There's different classes you can use that have different speeds and different abilities and stuff. Yeah, this is a very cool game. Check this game out for sure. Just look at these character designs, man. Damn, this art is so good. Yeah, Pyre. So good. Also, excellent music in Pyre. Excellent. Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends. What do you want me to say? Some of the coolest 2D platformers ever made. The movement in these games is pretty fucking sick. It's really fun. You can do a lot of cool things in these games. If you've never done it, I recommend looking up a speedrun of these games and seeing just how fast it is and how cool the movement is and the mechanics and stuff. These are some of the best 2D platformers ever made, in my opinion. They are absolutely incredible. Legends is my preferred one. I think it's much better than Origins. I think pretty much everyone thinks that. Origins is still a very good game, but Legends is just that next level. And they're not on Steam, but I also like the other Rayman games, Rayman 2 and 3. Rayman 1, I've never really played much of. I tried it, couldn't really get into it, but I have played Rayman Redemption, which is a fan-made remake of Rayman 1. Go check that out. It's very cool. Whew, we're getting there. We're getting there. Ugh. Alright, Remnants of Nizith. Another obscure game, another time attack game that I enjoy, another cool platformer, and another grappling hook game. Very quickly, you can look at this game and you're like, I understand why Pariah likes this game. Because, yeah, just look at it. And it is as fun as it looks. If you like grappling games, if you like difficult platformers, if you like speedrunning and that kind of gameplay, this is one to check out. This is probably my favorite 2D grappling game I've ever played. I don't know if you'll find me on the leaderboards in those higher slots in this game. I don't recall, because this game gets really difficult. And eventually, at a certain point, I was just like, you know what? I think I'm just satisfied beating these levels, because they're so freaking hard. But yeah, it's good. It's real good. Doom Eternal blows 2016 out of the water because it has a grappling hook. Well, doesn't it have more like a hook shot? It doesn't have a grappling hook with grappling mechanics. It just, like, pulls you directly to whatever you shoot it at, right? Which is also cool for sure, but when I want a grappling hook, I want real grappling mechanics. Oh, it has grappling mechanics? Oh. Oh, you can slingshot with it. Oh, I didn't know that. Now I'm even more excited to check out Doom Eternal. Holy shit. Did I cover Katana Zero? No, I have played Katana Zero. Honestly, I didn't love it. I didn't think it was that amazing. It was an alright game, but it did not blow me away. Resident Evil. Got a whole bunch of Resident Evil games here. These are all the Resident Evils I've played. RE2 Remake, original RE4, RE5, RE7, and its demo, which is kind of like a little mini-game. It's like its own little experience, which is cool. And then the Revelations games. I like Resident Evil. These games are good. Clearly, I have a lot of gaps to fill in with my Resident Evil experience. Gotta get 3 Remake, 4 Remake, gotta play Resident Evil 8. I tried Resident Evil 1 Remake, but I couldn't really get into it, honestly. That kind of old school lockdown camera Resident Evil and that style of survival horror, not the biggest fan of. I've tried and I just couldn't really do it. But the third person over the shoulder shootier Resident Evils, the action ones, they're good. Obviously, Resident Evil 4, the original, is a masterpiece. It's a perfect game. I don't know why they remade this, but apparently the remake is even better, which seems impossible, but it makes me very excited to check it out. Resident Evil 2 is also excellent. I was surprised at how good RE7 was. It's a very good game. 5 is a fun co-op game. It's RE4, but not as good, but more action-y, and you can do it with a friend, which makes it quite enjoyable. And then Revelations is alright. Revelations 2 is pretty good. Rivals of Aether. I've talked about this game a couple of times. Rivals of Aether is sick, dude. It's a Smash Bros. Style platform fighter. Oh, that one's quite a bit loud. I'm gonna lower that. Yeah, it's a Smash Bros. Style platform fighter. And it's great. You know, there's a lot of platform fighters coming out these days, but none of them are as good as Rivals of Aether. It is the best. It is the best of the best. It's better than all the other ones you can think of. Better than Multiverses, better than Nickelodeon, whatever. Better than everything. And you know what? In some ways, I would even say better than Smash Bros. It has the speed of Melee, but it has the kind of creative, unique, different play styles and gameplay of the different characters from Ultimate. But even more so, the characters in this game are really crazy, very cool things they can do, very, very fun game. And it has incredible online play, it plays fantastically, and there's a sequel that they're working on right now that I'm very much excited for. Rivals of Aether, it's the best. It's awesome. Highly recommend checking it out. Oh yeah, and it also has mod support, and it has like 7 trillion modded characters, including many, many Sonic characters. In fact, there's so many cool modded characters in this game that they added 4 modded characters officially into the game. And they're doing a contest right now to get a custom character into Rivals 2. So yeah, they're big on community support. They've even run tournaments where you're exclusively allowed to play community custom characters. Yeah, Rivals of Aether is excellent. Super good. River City Girls, a fun beat-em-up, and different than a lot of other beat-em-ups. It's not just, like, levels. It's kind of like open-world, kind of Yakuza style. A byway forward, and it has their trademark style and flair to it. And it's got very fun gameplay as well. Good combat mechanics here, good music, very stylish, very fun game. Very simple, straightforward, fun little beat-em-up. It's good. Check it out. There's a second one out now that I have yet to play, but I want to. Arc System Works? Yes. Arc System Works is the publisher because they own the River City and Double Dragon IPs, because they're kind of a connected universe. So they own Kunio, River City, all that stuff is all owned by Arc System Works. So these are developed by WayForward, published by Arc System Works. I love WayForward. They've shown up here a couple of times. They make great games. As you can see, Shantae is also here. We'll talk about that later. I love WayForward. I'm all about them. Rocket League. Love Rocket League. Rocket League is so much fun. I think Rocket League is the perfection of, like, everything that you want in a competitive game. It's simple, it's straightforward, it's easy to play, but it also has an infinite skill ceiling. You can always get better at Rocket League because of the mechanics and how it works. It's fun for literally everybody, every skill level. Everybody loves Rocket League. You don't even have to explain the game. You drive a car and it's soccer. You can just put this game in someone's hands and they immediately know how to play, and it's immediately a ton of fun. But then you start to get in there and you start to learn how to really play, and you start to learn how to fly and do cool shit, and then it turns into a whole different game that's even better. Rocket League is incredible. It's so much fun. I love Rocket League. Oh yeah, Epic Games did steal this game from Steam. I have it from before then. That does suck. Have I ever played / talked about Mummy Demastered? No, but I want to. It looks good. Samurai Jack. I was really shocked at how good this game is. It's by Soleil, which is a developer of ex-Ninja Theory developers, the guys who made Ninja Gaiden, and you can tell because this is actually a legitimately fantastic action game. It is really, really good. And in many ways, it's very true to Samurai Jack. It feels very authentic in not just like, you know, the visuals and story and stuff. You know, it's got all the voice actors and everything. But even some of the gameplay and game design is very true to Samurai Jack. And it's just a phenomenal action game. It's really good. Recommendation if you do play it, though, don't start on the hard mode. Start on the normal difficulty, get some upgrades, and then move up to the hard mode, because it's fucked if you try to just immediately go to hard mode, which is what I did when I first played it. But yeah, I did a video on this game. Yeah, it's really, really good. The story of it is pretty negligible. It's nothing to really worry about. You can ignore it if you want, and it's kind of just a best of Samurai Jack, where you just go through some iconic areas from levels and fight bosses and enemies from various episodes of Samurai Jack. It's just a fun Samurai Jack themed action game. Yeah, even if you're not a fan of Samurai Jack, Pato, it's just a great game. Just play it. Although Samurai Jack is also good. It's worth a watch. Seagull, no, I did not make a list of 200 games. This is just my Steam library. I just have 200 games here that, like, these are my 200 Steam games that I love and go back to and play because they're just really good. And I'm just going through them because everyone's always asking me my opinions about what games I like. So here you go. Here's everything you would want. All right. Oh, season 5 kind of shit the bed for Samurai Jack, you think, Sweet? Yeah, the ending, they kind of borked it a little bit with Samurai Jack. This game kind of addresses it, sort of, but not really. It's still not a great ending. But overall, still, the show is quite good. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. This game is excellent. Another From Software game. Very Souls-like. I know that, Seagull Moe. I'm aware of that. You got the same profile picture. Anyway, Sekiro, yeah, great game. It's not exactly a Souls game. It's very different. It's more of a pure action game. Some people say this is a Souls game. Personally, I feel it's not, because it is quite different in how it plays. But it is an excellent game. I heard that in development, this game was originally going to be a Tenchu game, which is almost disappointing, because I'm actually quite a fan of the Tenchu games, and I'd love to see a new one by From Software. But then they went and From Software'd it and added all this action stuff, and they're like, okay, never mind, this isn't Tenchu anymore. It's exactly how Devil May Cry came to be. But yeah, Sekiro is great. It's the only From Software game where I actually know what's happening in the story and care and kind of enjoy it, because I don't give a fuck about the story of any of the Souls games or Elden Ring or anything. But this one, I actually understood what was happening. I liked it. It was good. It has some interesting thematic stuff about immortality and things. The one thing I will say, and I plan on doing a video on Sekiro eventually one day, I do not think this game is hard. I actually think this game is easy, which I might sound insane to a lot of people, but I had no difficulty with Sekiro. Like this fight right there that was being shown, Genichiro, I heard a lot of people had trouble with that fight. I beat that boss first try. I beat a lot of bosses in this game first try. In fact, there are only 3 things in this game that took me more than 3 attempts to beat. Being the final boss, one of the secret bosses, and those 2 enemies right before the final boss. People know what I'm talking about. Everything else in this game was pretty breezy for me to get through. I mean, I wouldn't even say it's a challenging game. I mean, it's tough. It's not an easy game, but I kind of breezed through it. I thought it was quite easy. Maybe I'm just too good at parrying. I've played a lot of action games. I know how to parry pretty well. And this game is parrying the game. If you know how to parry, you can beat this entire game. So, maybe that's some bragging about my gaming skills, but I also think that if you look at the game design of this game, it is more forgiving than the Souls games. Like, I think Bloodborne is a much harder game than Sekiro. Bloodborne, there's a boss in Bloodborne that took me like 5 hours to beat, and nothing in Sekiro was like that for me. Favorite boss in Sekiro? Probably the final boss. The final boss, this game has the only From Software game where the final boss is the hardest boss in the game, and it's satisfying because of that. Still an amazing game, though, but I found it to be quite easy. Shadow Complex. This is an old-school Metroidvania from back in the day, before our modern golden age of Metroidvanias. This was on Xbox Live Arcade by Epic Games, and it's a solid Metroidvania, and I played it relatively recently, and it's still really good. It's still a good Metroidvania. I would recommend it. 2D platformer, twin-stick shooter. Very Metroid in its core design and world map and stuff. And it's good. It has like a shit garbage story, but whatever, who cares? It's fun to explore around and platform and shoot guys. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. It's very old school in that way. I kind of, in a way, miss these days of like, mid to late 2000s Xbox 360. I have a lot of fondness for that era of gaming. And I kind of miss it. And this game is from that time, and I like that about it. Shadow Tactics. This is a very cool game. Another stealth game, published by Daedalic, but not actually made by them. It's by Mimimi Games, who have made a lot of cool games like this. It is a stealth real-time strategy game, and it's really cool. It's really unique and interesting and very difficult. I remember the final mission of this game took me 3 hours to beat, and that's not 3 hours of attempts. One playthrough of the final level of this game just to beat it was 3 hours, because it was so difficult, and you have to really, puzzle through how to get past all the guards and how to take guys out without getting detected and everything. This game is really, really cool and really fun, but it is not for the faint of heart. This is for, hardcore stealth game players. You gotta know your way around stealth games if you want to play this. But if you're into stealth games, if you're really into them, this is one of the best I've ever played. It's so good. It's so cool. Great mechanics all around. Great design. It's stupendous. And they have many other games with this exact same gameplay design that I haven't picked up yet, but I want to, because, this is one of those games similar to Fury, where I play it, and I'm like, all right, Mimimi is on my radar. I'm paying attention to everything they make from now on, because it's that good. Now we're up to the Shantae series. I love Shantae. Shantae is so good. Kind of 2D platformer, Metroidvanias. Sometimes they have some Zelda elements, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're more linear and level-based, but in general, the whole Shantae series is really good. One of the things I find charming about Shantae is that, at first glance, it looks like it could almost be a Nintendo franchise. It's got that like fun, bright, bubbly, cartoony aesthetic. But then you start playing the games and you realize that that is there, but at the same time, they are also very horny games, and they're not shy about it. They kind of embrace the horniness, and it's kind of like this lovely mix of horny but also cute and charming and fun, and it's very effective. It works. It's like this weird, unique little niche that Shantae has carved out for itself that nothing else does. And it's really good. The games themselves are pretty fun. They're not the most amazing games in the world, but they are solid, charming little 2D platformer Metroidvanias. My favorite one is Pirate's Curse, but they're all really good. I've also played the original Game Boy Color game, which is pretty good as well. I have not played Seven Sirens yet, but obviously I want to, and I'm excited for that GBA one that they're working on right now. I'll probably do videos on the Shantae series one day eventually. Yeah. Great stuff. If you don't mind a little horniness in your games, I would recommend them. A Short Hike. This is a really cool game. It has a DS-inspired visual style, which is quite unique. And it's very pleasant. It's a very chill, relaxing game. It's kind of... you can tell looking at it visually and atmosphere-wise, it's kind of like Animal Crossing, sort of. But the gameplay, it's like an open-world kind of 3D platformer adventure game. But it's got a lot of good writing, good story, good characters. You can glide around, and it's quite fun. It's also a bit collect-a-thon-y. Every time you help someone or complete an objective or get to a difficult area, you get a feather, and that gives you an additional jump. So you start the game with one jump, and then a double jump. And then by the end of the game, you have 27 jumps you can do, and you can climb really, really high, and then glide and fly down all around the world. And it's wonderful. It's a very pleasant, enjoyable, fun game, but most importantly, it's got some nice heart and soul to it. It's a very charming game, very cute, very cozy. I'm not normally much of a cozy gamer, but this is a cozy game that I can absolutely get behind. It's very, very good. Shovel Knight. I mean, it's Shovel Knight. It's like the patron saint of indie games. It feels like, there were indie games before, and they were pretty good, but then Shovel Knight came out, and it felt like the world of indie games changed forever after Shovel Knight's release. It's like, this game was on a whole nother level for indie games, and then Shovel Knight, it exploded, and it was like the biggest game ever. And then ever since then, indie games have gotten better and better and better. And actually, nowadays, you go back to Shovel Knight, and it doesn't hold up as well as when it first came out. It's still a fantastic game for sure, but I distinctly remember when I first played Shovel Knight, I was blown away. I was like, oh my god, this game is beyond incredible, holy shit. But indie games have gotten so good that nowadays, Shovel Knight is just a really, really good platformer, which is fine. It's great still. It's just kind of weird to see how times have changed, and how this game doesn't have that same magic around it that it used to, but it's still really good. And yeah, I've played all the campaigns for it. Which is my favorite campaign? Hard to say. I kind of love all of them. Plague Knight, I feel, is a very underrated campaign. I can see why a lot of people don't like it, but if you experiment a little bit, Plague Knight has some pretty sick movement tech, actually. You can do some really fun stuff in this game. I'm almost certainly going to do videos on Shovel Knight eventually one day. It's so good. Shovel Knight Showdown, even. I've played this with friends. It's so much fun. It's really good. It's a legitimately, genuinely great platform fighter. It's very simple compared to, like, Smash or Rivals of Aether, but it's very good. Tivy, thank you very much for the donation. Cruelty Squad has a great grappling hook. I have never heard of Cruelty Squad. I will make a note of that and check it out after the stream. Interesting. Okay, cool. Thanks for the recommendation. You think Super Meat Boy was the start of the indie boom? I don't know. Super Meat Boy was pretty early on. I I feel like Shovel Knight was really when things kicked up, because not even that long after Shovel Knight came out, Freedom Planet came out, which was another, like, holy shit, indie game, next level. Silence, another Daedalic point-and-click adventure game, very good. This one in particular has a very good story. It's kind of more simple as far as the puzzle-solving elements go, but the narrative is quite strong in this game. This game is a sequel to another Daedalic point-and-click that I'm going to get to later. Skullgirls. The Skullgirls is a great fighting game, one of my favorites. Visually, it is gorgeous with all of its hand-drawn artwork, crazy over-the-top characters. This game is also bonkers. These characters can do all this weird-ass stuff. You can have up to 3 characters on your team at once if you want, or you can even be a solo character, and the game like scales so your characters have more health or do more damage depending on if you're 1v3 or 2v2 or 3v3. It's a really malleable game, and it's still getting supported to this day. Too bad the studio fell off. They did not. The director and head of Lab Zero Games was kind of outed as kind of a creeper. But most of the people from Lab Zero left, and they formed their own, I forget what they're called, but their own development studio where they're continuing to work on Skullgirls. They're adding new characters to this day. It's still going. The Skullgirls launch party never ends. That's an in-joke for Skullgirls players. Most of you probably don't understand that, but yeah. It is a bit more complicated than that. I'm simplifying Sweet, but yeah, whatever. Smite. Okay, Smite, I don't know if I still have any love for Smite in my body. There is a lot of controversy around Skullgirls, but I have seen Skullgirls developers themselves say, don't let Mike Z ruin it for everyone else. Or not Mike Z. Yeah, Mike Z. Don't let it ruin for everyone else. It's still a good game. A lot of people put a lot of work into Skullgirls, so they still want you playing it. I mean, they're still working on it. Anyway, Smite. Yes, it is a MOBA. This was my MOBA. I did not play any Dota. I did not play any League of Legends. Smite was my MOBA of choice. This game is different than other MOBAs in that it's third person behind the back. You control your character manually with WASD. And I had a lot of fun. I don't even know how many hours I have into this game. Steam doesn't show because I had this game previously just on the Hi-Rez launcher, which is the studio that made the game. But I would not be surprised if I put well over 1,000 hours into Smite back in the day. Like in high school, I played so much Smite. So much, in fact, that I have not touched the game in like over 10 years because I feel like I have played all the Smite I ever need to play for the rest of my life. But it's been a very long time, and I am feeling like maybe I want to give it a shot again and see if I can't find the love for Smite once more. It is a fun game. I had a lot of fun with it. If you're open to MOBAs as a genre, this is the one that appealed to me the most because it's more action gameplay. Like, their marketing that they used to use back in the day when it was new was everything is a skill shot. You manually aim all your special attacks, all your basic attacks. You manually control your character, everything. So it feels more action-y than a lot of MOBAs. So yeah, it's a fun game, but I just played too much of it, and I don't know if I have any room left in my life for MOBAs or for Smite. Soma. Soma is a horror game by the people that made Amnesia. And Amnesia is too scary for me. I can't play it. But Soma is less scary, and it's more story-oriented. Once again, this is a game that deals with AI and robots and existentialism, and basically, with me, I see that, and I'm there. I'm in. And Soma is a very good one. Very interesting. It poses a lot of good questions. Like, I'm a big fan of AI fiction, but the problem with AI fiction is a lot of it just rehashes the same things that we've seen a million times over. You know, are they alive? Are they people? Consciousness, blah, 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 all that. I'm so beyond that at this point. When I look for good AI fiction, I look for something that does more and explores other aspects of AI and robots and their possibilities and what they could become and how we think about them and feel about them and how that pertains to what we consider to be alive and intelligent and conscious and those kinds of things. And just many other aspects with the relationships that people have with robots. And Soma is one of those games that explores those kinds of things, which are vastly more interesting. And it's really good. Like I said, it's not that scary, but it is still a horror game. But it's mostly like a puzzle game dealing with those kinds of things. So yeah, really, really good. I really like it. People asking, people want to see me play scary games. I might do some scary games in the future. Maybe with chat there helping me out, it can make the game less scary and I can play through it. Have I tried any of the FNAF games? I have, and they're too scary for me. But I might do FNAF streams because those are like perfect stream games because most of what you do is you just sit there. So I had plenty of time to read chat and hang out. And I know, it's like, you're too scared of FNAF. Yes, I am! I'm a scared-ass bitch. I was playing the first FNAF game, and I never even got jump scared. Just the atmosphere was too scary, and I just stopped playing after, like, the second night. Okay, apparently a lot of people want it, so apparently I will be doing some FNAF streams at some point in the future. Who knows when, we'll see. Anyway, moving on. I got a bunch of crap here. I'm not going to talk about those games. So Spark the Electric Jester. This game is really good. Very similar to Freedom Planet in that it's a Sonic-like game, but it's got some action, some combat. It's very fun, very good, highly recommended. Yeah, it's real good. And then Spark the Electric Jester 2 takes Spark and brings it into 3D, and it's excellent. I've not played Spark the Electric Jester 3, the sequel to this, but it seems to be even better, and all the levels from Spark 2 have been ported into Spark 3, so you might not even need to get this game, but the Spark the Electric Jester games are fantastic. Lake Feppard, the developer behind them, he's just made banger after banger. He's done some Sonic fan games that are excellent. He's working on an F-Zero-like game right now that looks really cool. Yeah, he just puts out great games all the time. I'm a big fan of it. Okay, going back a little bit to Sonic. I'm not going to talk about the Sonic games because there's enough. But I see some people commenting on this game. Why is this game here? Well, I will say this. I don't hate Sonic Forces. I don't hate the game. I don't love the game. I don't think it's good, but I don't hate the game. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's a terrible Sonic game. There are some things about Sonic Forces that I do kind of enjoy. I'm not going to defend the game. It's bad, absolutely. But, you know, this game is also bad, and this game is also kind of bad, and this game is also kind of bad, and Sonic Unleashed is also bad, and a lot of Sonic games are kind of bad. But Forces, I think, gets a little bit too much hate. It's not a good game, but it's not a terrible game, in my opinion. Moving on. Speedrunners. I talked about this game a little bit. This game is fun. This is a really cool party game that you can play with friends. It's a competitive racing game where you gotta try to stay on the screen, and if you fall behind too much, then you get killed. So it's whoever's out in front. It's interesting, it's got really good balancing built into it, because if you're out in front, you're winning, but also you can't see because you're at the edge of the camera. Whereas people in back have more time to react to stuff and see what's happening. So memorizing the level design is very important because you do laps around. And it's got momentum mechanics. It's very high skill ceiling, very skill-based. So there's a lot to this game. It's very fun with friends. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. This is also no longer available because Activision lost the license to it. But this is my favorite Spider-Man game. I am not a fan of the Insomniac Spider-Man games. I just don't like those kinds of open-world AAA games. They don't interest me whatsoever. But Shattered Dimensions, I quite like it. Truthfully, it's not the best game in the world. Yes, this was on Steam for a brief period of time, like it, but they took it down. It was like right before they lost the Spider-Man license. They put this up to try to get some extra money, so they put this out. And it's a really bad PC port. It crashes all the time, which sucks, but whatever. Yeah, the gameplay in this game is not the most amazing. It's kind of like a character action game, but the combat is really not that good. It's got some stealth elements that I think are pretty fun, but it's kind of like a greater than the sum of its parts kind of game for me. It's the Spider-Man-ness, playing as all the different versions of Spider-Man. There's a lot of fun writing and character stuff in here. It's very funny. It's got lots of great voice acting. Lots of previous Spider-Man cartoon voice actors voiced this game. It's got Josh Keaton from Spectacular Spider-Man, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man anythings ever. I love that show. And this actually is what led to Spider-Verse. The writer of this game, Dan Slott, is a writer of Spider-Man comics, and he was writing for this game and was like, oh, we're doing this cool multi-dimension Spider-Man thing. That's pretty neat. But because it's a video game and game development limitations, we could only have 4 Spider-Men in it. And then he got the idea, well, if we did it in a comic book, then there'd be no limit, and I could put as many Spider-Man as I wanted into the story, and thus Spider-Verse was born. So everything Spider-Verse, the existence of Gwen's Spider-Gwen and all that stuff, you can thank Shattered Dimensions for it. This actually predates Miles Morales even existing, so he's not in this game. But yeah. I do hate multiverse plots these days. I am tired of them. But this was like the first thing to do it before it started to get... I mean, it's not the first multiverse ever. Obviously, that's been done before. But it was a good one that was executed before the nightmarish onslaught of multiverses that we see way too much nowadays. And I enjoy the Spider-Verse movies as well. Splitgate. I have made some videos on this game. It's good. Oh god, sorry about that. I hit the wrong thing. It's Halo and Portal put together, but it's much more fast-paced than Halo is normally. And this game is pretty cool. I like shooters with cool movement stuff, and Portals, in the context of a competitive shooter, is very interesting. It creates for a lot of different gameplay than you see in any other shooter. It's fun. It's solid. It had its time in the sun. There's not that many people playing it these days, but I think you can still find matches, and I would recommend it because it's a good game. SpongeBob now. SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Rehydrated. Yeah, when I talked before about how much I grew up on 3D platformer collectathons, this was one of them. I played the shit out of the SpongeBob games. Well, this and the movie game. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. They're just solid, good 3D platformer collectathons that are very true to SpongeBob, and they're really good. I have played the original, yes, Sweet. And yeah, in some ways, Rehydrated, kinda... It's not the ideal remake, but it is, I think, a good version of the game still, and I enjoyed it. And I do actually prefer playing this to the original version of the game overall, because of the nicer visuals and stuff, even if the visual style isn't quite right for SpongeBob, in my opinion. And then Cosmic Shake, the sequel to kind of Rehydrated, made by the developers that did the remake, it's good. It's pretty alright. It is not as good, in my opinion, as the original Heavy Iron games. I think that both of them are better, but it is still a good game. I still had a pretty good time with it. It's unfortunate that this game went away from being a collectathon and turned into a level-based game. No, I understand completely what you're talking about, Sweet. And I tried to compare the games. After I played Rehydrated, I went back to the original, and my immediate reaction was, woof, it's kind of rough looking. But I do still like the original as well. Spyro, the Reignited Trilogy. This was the first time I ever played Spyro, and I had a really good time with it. These games are pretty darn good. They're very fun. Also, I just noticed, funny how the names worked out there, we have 2 Tom Kenny series back-to-back. Because for people who don't know, Tom Kenny voices Spyro, same voice actor who does SpongeBob. Yeah. And they're good, collectathon 3D platformers. I missed them out as a kid because I didn't have a PS1, but now that I've played them, yeah, I would have loved these as a kid. Stacking. Oops, sorry. Hit the mic. Stacking, another Daedalic adventure game. And it's quite a cool game. You play as these Matryoshka dolls, and you have to, like, work your way up to bigger and bigger Matryoshka dolls, and each one has a different ability. So to solve puzzles, you need to get the conductor, but the conductor is like a max-size doll, so you have to go into the chef, who's a little bit bigger than you, and then you have to go into the countess, who's a little bit bigger, and then you can go into the conductor to do a puzzle, and then each individual thing has different abilities and stuff, and it's a fun little game. It's got a cool aesthetic. I like it. It's not bad. What consoles do I have? Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and then also, I don't have them hooked up, but I have a Wii U, I have a PS3, Xbox 360, I have a 3DS, and I think that's about everything. Oh, and I have an Apple TV now. That came in the mail. I do have a Wii U. It is a very nice dust collector. All right, next up, Star Wars Battlefront 2. I did not... I was completely absent from all of this game's drama when it first came out and everything. I was way late to the party on this. Oh, donation. Thank you very much, Big Timerish 5. Will I cover Kingdom Hearts games sometime? I am really enjoying them and its fighting mechanics. I will probably do Kingdom Hearts eventually. I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, so we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so I totally dodged all of the drama with this game. I picked it up way after the fact. I got the Celebration Edition for like 20 bucks that just comes with all the cosmetics and everything for free. You know what? I don't know if they fixed it up. I think they did improve a lot of the game and make it better. This is a fun fucking game. I've never really played many dice shooters. I totally missed out on the Battlefield series. I never played the old Battlefronts either. I just played this, and I had a shit ton of fun with it. I just played match after match after match for weeks. It was just so good, and I'm a big Star Wars fan, so it being all Star Wars-y as well is quite nice. You know, it's unfortunate that there's sequel crap in here, but I just try to ignore that and enjoy the gameplay when I'm playing on those maps. Yeah, I honestly love this game. It's one of my favorite shooters. It's so good. It's so fun. No, that's not true at all, Sweet. I don't mind the prequel stuff. The prequels are not good either, but I appreciate them infinitely more because they have some soul to them. And Clone Wars also has done a lot to redeem prequel-era material. So I'm fine with the prequel maps. I like playing as Darth Maul as much as the next guy. Next up, Fallen Order. I remember when EA first got the Star Wars license, it felt like they weren't doing anything with it, but in more recent times, they've kind of been doing pretty good work with it, because I didn't play Fallen Order when it first came out. I picked it up much later, and I was shocked at how good it is. It's kind of like baby's first Souls game mixed with a Metroidvania. It kind of feels a bit like Metroid Prime in some respects, and it's actually quite good, actually. I was surprised. I played through the game on the hardest difficulty, and I was shocked at how legit the combat in this game gets. It kind of is like a mix between, like, traditional Souls gameplay, but also, like, character action a little bit. You get some fun tools in this game that make for a fun combat sandbox. Yes, it's a Metroidvania, Pato, which I love Metroidvanias, so you have a Souls character action Metroidvania themed around Star Wars, and it's quite good, and it's also got a pretty decent story. I was stunned. I loved this game, but maybe I shouldn't be stunned because it's by Respawn, and Respawn just is a killer developer, and they make awesome games, so I guess I should have expected this. I have not picked up Jedi Survivor yet because the PC port is a giant, terrible disaster. Hopefully with patches, eventually it will become playable, and then I will play it, and then hopefully enjoy it. State of Mind. Once again, another Daedalic point-and-click. I told you, I'm a big fan of Daedalic. There's a lot of these games. They have been making them for so long, and almost every single game, in fact, not almost, every single Daedalic game I've played has been excellent, and then they shit out Lord of the Rings Gollum. It's such a shame. This game has to do with transhumanism, uploading your mind into like a digital simulated world and stuff, and what is reality, what's not, and kind of like memory manipulation stuff, and trying to like control the narrative of the world. It deals a lot with like corporate stuff and rampant capitalism a little bit, but it's not a big focus here. But it's a very quality game. It's very good. It's very interesting. It's got some nice sci-fi, some nice world building in there. It's good. It's good. Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 has the World Tour mode is the best single player I've ever played in a fighting game ever. It is the only fighting game single player that I've ever enjoyed. I like World Tour mode so much that my $60 was satisfied just from playing that. And then, of course, it's Street Fighter, and it's really good. I like the mechanics in this game a lot with the drive system. I think it's very, very interesting, and it has a lot of depth to it. Much better than Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V was a fine game, but it was very uninteresting to me because it was very basic and straightforward. This game is a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. I like it quite a bit. I haven't played a ton of it, though, because honestly, I've been kind of falling out with fighting games a little bit recently because none of my friends play fighters anymore, and fighting games are most fun when you play them with friends. But I'm certain that if I had friends to play with, I'd be all over Street Fighter 6, playing a ton of it. Street Fighter 4, or Streets of Rage 4, the best beat-em-up game ever made, in my opinion. The Streets of Rage series already was the best beat-em-up series ever. Like, the top beat-em-ups of all time, Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 were already there. And then 4 comes out, and then it's even better than all of them. I think 4 is amazing. I love Streets of Rage 4. It's beautiful. Like, this, to me, this is peak 2D video games. I'm gonna be honest, I'm really fucking sick of pixel art in games. It feels like every fucking indie game ever uses pixel art way too much. And I'm really sick of pixel art in games. So I just prefer anything else. But this, to me, this is what a modern 2D game should look like. This is what I want out of a 2D game. Beautiful hand-drawn animation, and it's just gorgeous looking. This is, you know, I'm tired of being stuck in the past and nostalgia. I want to move forward. I want 2D games to progress, and I want that visually as well. And this is like as far as you can go with 2D visuals in a game. It's wonderful. And then gameplay-wise, it's the most fun beat-em-up I've ever played. So many awesome mechanics, such great stuff. It's amazing. It's the best. It's the best. And also, fun fact, Streets of Rage 4 was the first video I ever did on my channel. Have I ever played Dragon's Crown? No, I have not. I've never played any Vanillaware games, but I really want to, because they're very gorgeous as well, and they seem like they have cool combat mechanics and stuff. So I'll definitely be checking them out some point, eventually. Alright, we're getting there. Not too many games left, only 3 and a bit rows. Oh my god. We're almost done. We're almost done. Okay. Next up, we have the Styx games. The Styx games are stealth games, and to be honest, they're not great. They are very rough, very clunky games. They have a lot of issues, but these days, it's slim pickings for stealth games, so I'll take what I can get. And the Styx games, while they have a lot of problems, are still pretty good. They're good enough that if they made a Styx 3, I'd be there. But they have a lot of problems. And they're very generic fantasy, which I'm not a big fan of. The main character, Styx, is kind of charming. He's got a very crass attitude, which is funny, but, yeah, kind of rough, but I'll take them. They're good enough. That is true, Awesome Hat, that a lot of games can have pixel art and look very different from each other. But even amongst that, I've seen lots of different styles of pixel art, and I'm kind of just tired of it universally at this point. Alright, Super Bernie World. So this game is a weird, like, political satire game from 2020, but they released a DLC to reskin the game to Kitsune Zero, which is a Mario-esque 2D platformer. I mentioned it briefly in my Mario video. It's pretty good. It's basically just Mario 1. And it's good. It's a good game. It's nothing like amazing. It's nothing standout. It doesn't do anything new or crazy or different. It's just Mario 1, and it's good. Yes, technically everything on a monitor is pixel art. Thank you, Sweet. Shut up. You know what I'm talking about. All right, Super Cloud Built. So Super Cloud Built, what's this all about? Super Cloud Built is the enhanced remake of the original Cloud Built. And it is my preferred game. I like Super Cloud Built more than the original Cloud Built. But the reason I don't talk about Super Cloud Built very much is Super Cloud Built is no longer available on the Steam store. Due to the deal with the publisher running out on this game, the developer can no longer sell it because the publisher actually contributed game development to this and owns some of the code in the game, so he can't sell it anymore as long as that code is in the game. But he is currently working on a big update to Super Cloud Built to make it even better. That is going to remove all the publisher's code so he can get it back up on the store. So when that happens, I'll probably be covering Cloud Built and Super and talking about these games because I love them so much and they are painfully underrated. Yeah, they are great. I love them. I love them, I love them, I love them. They're excellent. Once again, when that comes out, check me out on the top times and you'll see me there. Is there a way to get Super Cloud Built on Xbox? No, it never came to Xbox. It was on PS4 until the publisher lost the rights to the game. Now it's not available anywhere. Super Sammy Roll, look at that, back to back. We got another really fun, fast-paced action 3D platformer with cool physics and mechanics and with a time attack focus. Super Sammy Roll is very inspired by 3D Mario games, especially like 3D World, and it's a really good game. It's got really good physics, very speedrun oriented, a very hard game also. When you get to the later levels, it gets quite challenging, and it's very fun. It's a charming little game. It's got this lovely animated intro that feels very Sonic to me, doesn't it? Good mechanics, good gameplay, good level design, good everything. It's a good game. Check it out. This is, the developer that made this is the same developer that made Batboy, which I mentioned back when we were having technical difficulties. Yeah, good stuff. Check it out. The Swapper. This is an old game, but it's good. It's like a 2D... It's kind of like a Portal-esque game, where it's got like puzzle solving and kind of chambers where you have to figure out exactly what to do and how to do it, but it has an interesting, unique mechanic of you can create clones of yourself, and then you control all of the clones simultaneously. So you gotta place clones in the right places to set them up to do things, and then you can change which character you are manually controlling. And it's very cool, very interesting, and it has a cool, like, alien-esque, spooky, horror, sci-fi atmosphere. And it's very good. And it goes in some interesting directions story-wise, so puzzles are good, game is cool, good story, recommended. Team Fortress 2. What, do I have to say anything? It's Team Fortress 2. It's one of the best shooters ever made to this very day still. I love TF2. I have how many? 633 hours in this game. Yeah, it's TF2. I play all the classes in this game. I would say my main is probably either Scout or Soldier, except for Spy. I don't play Spy at all because I'm a terrible Spy. Yeah, it's real good. Back in the day, I got into the hat economy, but I got out because I could not keep doing that because it was a nightmare. Nowadays, I don't give a fuck about hats, but yeah, I just love TF2. It was so much fun. Also, I'm just going to say this because it's probably underrated. Man vs. Machine, really good. It's really fun to play with friends. Yeah, TF2. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. This is another one of those Platinum games that they did with Activision. That was a licensed game that is no longer available. And truthfully, it's not an amazing game. But it's an all-right game. It's an okay character action game. It's passable. I mean, you can't get it anymore, so whatever. But I think it's worth a playthrough. It's kind of nice just having a TMNT game that has like good action game gameplay, even if it's not amazing. So I like it well enough. Time Spinner. I feel like this game is totally unknown, and that is a shame because it's really good. It is a Metroidvania, but specifically it is an Igavania game. It takes a lot of influence directly from the Castlevania games. It plays a lot like them. It has like different things that you can equip, similar to Castlevania, XP, leveling up, that kind of stuff. And it also has some time travel mechanics to it, which are pretty cool. You know, similar to kind of how in Castlevania they often have, they reuse the map in some kind of way and make you re-explore. This game does that with time travel, kind of like A Link to the Past. And it's really good. You see, you have all these different abilities, all these different weapons you can equip. Very Aria of Sorrow kind of with how that works. It's a good game. Very, very recommended if you like Igavania games. It's solid. Oh, we're getting through it. We're almost done. Tinykin. This is a cute little 3D platformer. I was initially thinking of doing a video on this, but I felt that there wasn't really enough to talk about to warrant its own video, so I guess I'll talk about it here. 3D platformer collectathon inspired by Pikmin, though it doesn't have any time management aspects, but you do have a little army of dudes, and you have different dudes with different abilities, but it's mainly used for like puzzle solving stuff. But it is a very fun little game. It really is exactly what it says. It's a 3D platformer collectathon. That is all you do in this game. There really aren't missions or objectives or mini-games or extra challenges or much of anything. It just plops you into a bunch of big sandbox levels and says collect all of the stuff. And you know what? That's perfectly fine by me. It does it really well. It's a very fun game. And it's very cute and charming, and it has a decent little story, too. So yeah, Tinykin is fun. I would recommend it if you're into 3D platformer collectathons, or if you like Pikmin. It satisfies some of that as well. And between this and Pikmin 4 and Bug Fables, it feels like, what's up with all the games now where you're a tiny little dude running around a house? That keeps happening. But I'm not going to complain, because it's a fun aesthetic. So yeah, Tinykin. Good stuff. Good stuff! Titanfall 2, the other TF2, and also one of the best shooters ever made, in my opinion. This game, you know, I talk a lot about how I love action-packed, fast-paced video games in general, and Titanfall 2 is the most action-packed game I've ever played. This game I describe as too much video game per second. When you're in multiplayer matches in Titanfall, it is insane. The amount of shit happening in this game, it's so fast-paced. The movement is ridiculous. The Titans and the interplay between two different types of first-person shooting gameplay, one that's like crazy fast-paced movement, and then one that's more class-based, and it has like kind of hero ability combat with each other, but then the interplay between the two, where when you're a pilot against a Titan, it's about like a cat and mouse of running and hiding and getting in those cheap shots when you can, whereas when you're a Titan, it's about trying to track down those pilots and predict their movement and get them before they can even do anything to you. Oh my god, this game is so fucking fun. It's so intense. It's the best. I love it. It's so good. It's probably my favorite first-person shooter ever, but honestly, it's a really tough decision between this and Team Fortress 2. They're both incredible games. I love them. I love them to death. What's my favorite Titanfall weapon? One of the shotguns, probably. Either the EVA-8 or the Mastiff. I love shotguns in general in shooters. And in Titanfall, they're particularly fun because you can do so much crazy shit in this game. I do a lot of what I like to call flybys, where I never even stop to aim or shoot. I'm just going crazy, flying through the map at high speed and just blasting guys as I keep going, not slowing down a little bit. Oh my god, this game is incredible. And it didn't even sell that well, which is like... look at this. Look at how cool that is. There's a grappling hook in this game, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Titanfall 2 has a fucking grappling hook, and it's got some of the most fun grappling mechanics I've ever played in a fucking video game. It's so incredible. And yeah, this game did not sell that well, unbelievably. How did this game not sell better? Look at this fucking video game. It is absurd. It's so cool. It's so awesome. And I also like the visual style. It's got like a cool sci-fi military-ish look to things. God, I just love it. I just love it. Titanfall 2. Fucking Christ, man. This feels like a game made for me. But Apex, though. Ugh. The day that they announced Apex Legends was a tragic day for me because I knew that Titanfall was dead at that moment, and yes, it is dead. Battle Royale bandwagon hopping, and I've played Apex Legends, and it's a good game, but I'm not into Battle Royales, really. And it sucks that I know that the team behind Titanfall is going to be working on Apex Legends for the foreseeable future. Will they ever come back to Titanfall? I don't know. Why would they even bother when Apex is their cash cow that makes them so much money? It's so upsetting because Titanfall is so good. Titanfall makes me upset because I think of how poorly it's sold, but goddammit, it's so much fun. Yeah, it was sandwiched between COD and Battlefield, and I don't know why the fuck EA thought that was a good idea. Honestly, I wonder if maybe there wasn't like some maniacal planning going on by EA with this game, where maybe they intentionally sandwiched it between those games so it would sell poorly, so that way Respawn would be in a tough position, and then EA could buy them. I would not be surprised if EA did that intentionally, because EA. And if that's the case, that sucks, man. They fucked over Respawn, potentially, and they fucked over Titanfall 2. Sucks. It sucks! Okay, Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and Conviction. These are the only Splinter Cell games I've played. I want to play the earlier games, but these two, these are the stealth games that I first played. Splinter Cell Conviction was the first stealth game I ever got into that, like, made me a fan of stealth games and got me into them. And Blacklist is a direct sequel to it with a lot of the same gameplay, but just enhanced and made better. And I really enjoy these games still. I still think they're pretty fun stealth games. People tell me that these pale in comparison to the original Splinter Cells, which just makes me want to check them out even more. But still, I think that these ones are really good, and it's a shame that stealth just doesn't sell well because they haven't made a Splinter Cell since 2013. It's almost been a decade. Apparently, they're doing a remake of the first game. Who knows if that's ever actually going to happen. I'd love to see a new Splinter Cell one day, but at the same time, do I want a new Splinter Cell? Because modern-day Ubisoft, you know it would be a microtransaction, live service fucking nightmare. So maybe it's for the best that Splinter Cell is kind of dead. But yeah, I love these games. What I will say, the story in these games is fucking terrible. I don't give a fuck about any of them. It's November. That says August. Yes, but if it came out in 2013, a decade would be 2024, not 2023. It's been 9 years since the game came out. The Torii games, not going to talk about them too much because they're very small little games, but they're fun little 3D platformers. They're very, very short, but they are quite enjoyable. They have fun level design, and there's a new Torii game in the works right now that looks pretty good, and I'm excited for it. Yeah. I'll probably talk about these games when the new one comes out. I might do a video reviewing all the Torii games in one go. Because they're fun. There's a lot of Sonic influence here that you can clearly see. So if you're a Sonic fan, I'd say check them out. They're good. Transformers Devastation, the third and final of the Platinum games that they did together with Activision licensed. I don't really give much of a fuck about Transformers. I'm not a Transformers fan. But I do like Platinum action games, and this is their best one in that trilogy of games they did with Activision. Devastation is very, very good. Unfortunately, once again, you can't get it anymore, but I think this game did have a physical release, so you can maybe hunt down a copy for it for Xbox or PlayStation. And it's quite fun. It's got some problems, but it is a solid Platinum action game, as they always used to do back in the day. I'm not as much of a fan of Platinum these days with their more recent stuff. I saw some people asking, no Nier Automata here? No Nier Automata. I actually did not like Nier Automata. It really didn't do it for me. I didn't like the combat very much, and honestly, I didn't really get into the story. And yes, I got ending E, and I didn't really care that much for it. For people that know Nier Automata, this will say everything it needs to. The final decision at the end of the game, I said no. So that'll tell you everything you need to know about how I felt about that game. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. This was my jam as a kid. 3D platformer collectathons were my childhood. More specifically, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger was my childhood. This was one of my favorites back in the day. It's by an Australian developer, Chrome Studios, and it's all themed around Australia. It's all like, you know, wallabies and kangaroos and boomerangs and shit. It plays a lot with, you know, Australian stereotypes and has fun with it. But it's by Australians, so whatever. And it's a fun little 3D platformer collectathon. If you're into games of this era and like stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, I cannot recommend these games enough. They are exactly what you want out of these kinds of games. They are quite fun. They are quite good. They have really good music too, and a very charming world. Very nice characters. Nice character design. I am a big fan of Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Word of warning, though, Ty 2 and 3 follow in the footsteps of Jak 2 and 3, where it's no longer a 3D platformer collectathon. It's now been turned into an open-world, mission-based game, and I do not like these games as much as Ty 1. Ty 1 is my favorite by far, but I still like these games. I still think they're pretty good. And Ty 4 was made many, many, many years later. And this one is a much lower budget game. It's just a 2D game, and you can see it's got that kind of like cheap skeletal animation. But it's still an alright game, I would say. And for someone that grew up with Ty, just seeing a brand new Ty game, I was like, holy shit! So I was happy either way. And the developer has been working a lot to release the old games and update them. They've been doing Kickstarters to put them on modern platforms with a lot of enhancements and stuff. And I am hoping that all of this and this revival of Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is leading to one day they'll make a brand new Ty 5 as a big 3D platformer. If they do a Kickstarter for that, I will put an irresponsible amount of money behind it. I will guarantee it. Because I just have such a fondness for Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, even though it's really not that great. Ty 2 or Jak 2? I would actually say Ty 2. I like Ty 2 more than Jak 2. Same for 3. But I like Jak 1 more than Ty 1. Undertale, it's Undertale. That's all I need to say. Everybody knows Undertale is the best. I've not played Deltarune, actually. I'm waiting for the second part of Deltarune to come out. And then I'll play it. But yeah, Undertale. Valkyria Chronicles. These games are some rare instances of me actually getting into RPGs and strategy games. And this is mainly because these are very story-oriented games. A lot of story, lots of narrative. They're kind of like almost half visual novel, and I really enjoy the stories here. It is very anime, but these are genuinely legitimate, good, like, war stories. Very themed out after World War II stuff, obviously. You can tell by the visuals of it. Oh, Chapter 2 of Deltarune is out? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles games, like, I love the story and the setting and the world and the World War II vibes behind it, but you know what? I also do enjoy the strategy tactics gameplay here. I think it is actually quite fun. I like it a lot. These kind of have a similar thing for me as Azure Striker Gunvolt, where it's anime as fuck in a way that I absolutely approve of. Yeah, I love Valkyria Chronicles, and only 1 and 4 are on Steam, but I have played 2 and 3. I did a video reviewing them. But the long and short of it is don't play Valkyria Chronicles 2. It sucks. But Valkyria Chronicles 3, if you really love VC games, then I would say check out VC3. It has a fan translation, and it's not as good as 1 and 4, but it is still quite good, especially the story. Okay, Chapter 2 of Deltarune is out, but it's still not the full story. Okay, or not the full game? Okay, then I'm still going to probably wait until the full game comes out. Anyway, Vanquish. Vanquish is by Platinum Games. Once again, this is one of their early games, and it was back in those days when everyone was copying Gears of War and making third-person shooters. But unlike all of those mediocre ripoffs, Vanquish is actually sick as fuck. I did a video on this game back in the day, and Vanquish is so fucking good. It's so cool. It's just Gears of War on crack. It's so fast-paced, has awesome movement sliding around. It's awesome. I cannot recommend Vanquish enough if you like Platinum games, if you like action games, if you like Gears of War style shooters. Like, this is a cover-based shooter where half the time you're not in cover. Half the time you're getting in enemies' faces and fucking them up, and it's great. One of my favorite Platinum games for sure. It's amazing. Walking Dead. Okay, I have the definitive series here because it's got, like, enhanced visuals and stuff. But really, only the original Walking Dead I like. I do not like seasons 2 or 3 or really any of the stuff they did after. I think they kind of messed it up. I think none of the later parts are nearly as good as part 1. But part 1 is really good. It is really, really solid. I think it's a very good zombie story. Certainly much better than fucking the TV show, which gets horrible real quick. 4 is good. Okay, I never played season 4 because I just didn't like 2 and 3 so much that I just wasn't into it. But I don't know. Maybe I will check out 4 if it's apparently good. But season 1 at the very least is excellent. Such great characters. All around just so good. Whispered World, they're back for the final time. Another Daedalic point-and-click adventure game. And this game is the prequel to Silence that I mentioned before. This is the first game. It's a much older game. And yeah, it's another Daedalic point-and-click adventure. It's very good. Good story. Takes place in a kind of generic fantasy world, but they managed to make it work. So, yeah. Good game. Yakuza 0, the only Yakuza game I've played. And I fucking loved it. I was shocked at how amazing it was. The beat-em-up gameplay is quite fun in Yakuza. It's really good. But I honestly fell in love with the story and the narrative and the cinematography, honestly, of the Yakuza games. They're so stylish and cool and filmic in a way where, like, you know, so many AAA games try to be movie-like, but I just don't give a fuck. The Yakuza games are the successful version of that, where they really do feel genuinely cinematic, where they have excellent storytelling and engaging narratives and plots and good, complex characters, minus Kiryu, who's the most one-dimensional fucker in the world, and I'm A-okay with that, because he's like the weirdo that this whole universe revolves around. And yeah, the Yakuza games are just wonderful. I love them. They're the best. And this is only after me playing 0, so I'm very excited to play the whole rest of the series. Because I'll definitely take more of this. And of course, they have all their goofy silliness, which is also nice. Yeah, these games are super cool. Super cool. All right. Lastly, we have Yooka-Laylee. I know a lot of people did not really care for Yooka-Laylee, but honestly, I did not have really many problems with Yooka-Laylee. It's exactly what they said it was going to be. It's a Banjo-Kazooie-esque 3D platformer collectathon, and it feels like that, including having a lot of the problems of the Banjo-Kazooie games, and especially Banjo-Tooie. You know, people complain that this game is bloated and that the levels are way too big and stuff, and there's a lot of mini-games that aren't very fun, and that's all true. But that is all also true of Banjo-Tooie. Banjo-Tooie has all of those problems, and in my opinion, it's actually worse than Yooka-Laylee. I like Yooka-Laylee more than Banjo-Tooie. The original Banjo is still the peak of the series for me, but I think that this is a fairly solid follow-up to the Banjo-Kazooie games. I think it's quite in line with them. I would prefer if it was maybe more improved, but I had a good time playing Yooka-Laylee, so I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a fun game. I think it's good. Now, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, this game is a little different, because this game is a 2D platformer very much in the style of Donkey Kong Country. But weirdly, even though Rare made the original Donkey Kong Country games, it's actually not like them. It's like the retro Donkey Kong Country games. And it is so fucking good. It is so much fun. The movement here is great. Very similar to like the Donkey Kong Country games by Retro or the Rayman Origins Legends kind of gameplay. Really, really fun, really good level design. And also the world map is like a whole second half of the game here, where it's not just a level select. It's kind of like a bit of a Zelda game where there's like puzzles to solve and exploration. So it's really cool. It is a very fun game, great platforming level design, great overworld exploration stuff. And it has the Breath of the Wild game structure where you can just go and do the final level immediately if you want to. But it's a really, really long, really difficult level, and you're not going to be able to do it. But every time you beat a level or find a secret in the overworld, you will get an extra hit point in the final level, for a total, if you get everything, of 50 hit points to try to survive your way through the final level. And unlike Breath of the Wild, the final challenge is actually hard enough that you really do need to get all of this stuff to make it beatable. I beat it on my second try, but I only had like 5 hits left at the end, and it is a tough challenge. And I've heard many other people took much longer to beat this game and had much more of a rough time and were not able to easily get through it. And I think that's awesome, having a genuine, legit final challenge that everything is building up to. It's a fantastic game. It is really, really good. Honestly, it's probably up there with some of my favorite 2D platformers. It's great. And there we go. That's it. Here are some of my favorite visual novels, but that's it. We got through everything. Oh my goodness. My voice is so hoarse now. Woof. That is my Steam library. That is my top 200 favorite games that I have played on Steam. Of course, there are some other games on here that I played on PC that I didn't get on Steam, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2 or Crash 4 or other things, but yeah. That, now everyone can stop asking me, what games do I like? Have I played this, that? Oh yeah, I have water, and I haven't been drinking it this entire time. What's wrong with me? Okay. That's good. That's refreshing. Thanks for, sticking through this whole thing, everyone. Here, you can see the games on my to playlist, everything I want to get to. Yeah, a big part of what I try to do with this channel is just recommend cool games to people, and I figure people are always asking me, so let me just plow through a million of them, and there you go. And now people can reference this video if they just want a ton of great recommendations for cool games to try. And it also gives you a bit of an understanding of the flavor of games that I like to play. Stealth games, action games, platformers, point-and-click adventures, shooters, beat-em-ups, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. I hope you all found some games that you want to check out now on the Steam sale while it's still there. Whoa. Can I check out the page for Super Fighters Deluxe? I did, Pato. I looked into that game. Honestly, it didn't really grab my attention. Sorry. Yeah, I have all the OlliOlli games here that I want to check out. Those seem fun. Don't know how long I'm just going to hang out for after all that, because that was quite an odyssey that we just went through, but if you guys got some questions or anything, or just want to chat for a bit about the games and all that, what's going on? How's everybody doing? I hope you all had fun with that. Yep, you're late. You just missed it. You just missed it. I just finished going through all the games. Fernanda PS2, but you can check out the VOD later. You want me to check out Cruelty Squad on stream? Sorry, I'm not going to dignify you with a reaction. I don't do reaction videos. Not happening. I'm just going to have to check it out on my own time and then tell you about it later. Deal with it. Still curious on my Nier Automata thoughts? I mean, that's a whole discussion, and I'm too tired. How am I doing, Pariah? I'm exhausted. My voice is annihilated after all that. Have I heard of Shadow Warrior 3? I have. I heard it's not that good. Yoshi Milkman, I totally understand what you're saying. And to a degree, I agree. These days, I don't get as excited when seeing simple, straightforward 3D platformers. But because I have a big connection to that whole genre from when I was a kid, I still enjoy them. And a lot of times it's about the charm and, the characters, the world, the music, the comedy. That's the kind of things that I really enjoy about those kinds of games. Thanks, Gesakai. Have I ever taken a look at Lisa the Painful? Never tried it. I've heard very good things about it. But, RPGs are my thing, so I've never looked at it too intently, but I should probably give them more of a look. I might like them. Who knows? I hear they're kind of like in a similar-ish vein to Undertale, where it takes inspiration from Earthbound and stuff, even though I'm not an Earthbound fan either. Am I going to start playing Mario Maker 2 now? No. That'll be a different stream later in the week. Am I Italian? I honestly have no idea where a lot of my DNA comes from. I know I'm a big part of me is Hispanic. I'm from my dad's side of the family is from Uruguay. My mom, she's European. I don't know where from. She's a mix of a lot of different things, I think. Yes, I'm a big fan of sci-fi. I like science fiction in general. Reading it, watching it, playing it. I just like sci-fi. Okay, I am Hispanic by heritage and stuff, but I have almost all of my mom's side of the DNA. I am white as fuck. And I can't speak Spanish, so I don't really describe myself as Hispanic, but technically I am. Zero Ranger, I believe that's on my wish list. Thanks, E-Tank. I heard about Geometry Dash. I have. Not really interested in it. Ever played Monaco? I'm not familiar with that. Pariah can't be Italian because he doesn't like pizza. Exactly. Even though American pizza is not Italian at all. Ever consider playing TF2 on stream? Yeah, probably. Eventually. I'm probably going to do videos on TF2 at some point. Have I played Bloodroots? No, I've never heard of it. Why can I play RE7 but can't play other horror games? Because RE7 isn't scary. A Gmod stream? What the fuck am I gonna do in Gmod? I am not a Gmod fan, really. Well, I mean, I guess that's not 100% true. I have had fun playing with friends, doing Trouble in Terrorist Town and Prop Hunt and stuff. Oh yeah, TF2 is incredible. I love TF2. Is being a TF2 YouTuber any worse than a Sonic YouTuber? Because I don't know. I might want to make the switch. How old am I? I'm 27. Personal ranking of 2D or 3D Mario games? Probably Odyssey #1. Then Sunshine. Galaxy 2. Probably then probably Galaxy 1, then Bowser's Fury, then Mario 64 would be, I think. Oh yeah, and then 3D World, 3D Land below that. That's off the top of my head. I didn't think too deeply about that. Might be slightly different. How's my day been? It's good. I did some video work. I got some chores done. And then I did this. Do you not like Sunshine, Sweet? I understand that, because Sunshine is very flawed. But damn, the movement in Sunshine is so goddamn fun. Oh, other way around, you put Sunshine at number one? That's understandable too. Either way is understandable. Why Sunshine would be someone's least favorite or favorite Mario. I understand both ways. Sunshine is a Sega Mario game. Yeah, it kind of does feel like a Mario game made by Sonic Team, but it's too polished for that. Oh no, you don't like Sunshine. You put it low. Okay, gotcha. I would recommend if you're not a fan of Sunshine, maybe check out Mario Sunburn. That's a mod that enhances Mario Sunshine quite a bit. No, Mario Sunshine isn't a super polished game, but it's more polished than Sonic Team games. Never heard of that mod? I did a video on it. Check it out. Sunburn is very cool. Dude, Daspear's a chuckster. Dude, I'm a chuckster. That's some good shit. That's a good meme. I don't hear that enough. That should be a Mario meme. I should be seeing that all over the place. Doesn't fix the problems for you? I think it fixes a number of the game's problems, but not all of them. I understand. What are my thoughts on Hollow Knight? Go back earlier. Have I ever played Celeste? Surprised not to see it on here. Yes, I have played Celeste. I didn't really care for it that much, honestly. It's a very well designed game, and it's very good for sure. But to be honest, I didn't really like it that much. Its platforming design is very rigid, and I prefer my platformers more open ended and freeform. The movement mechanics aren't really that interesting to me, just like the climbing and the dash. I don't really love it too much. So yeah, it's didn't really do much for me. And to be honest, I didn't really get too much into the story either. People joke that Celeste is like many indie games. It's a game about depression, but truthfully, honestly, and I don't mean to sound like insensitive or like an asshole here. I don't find depression to be that interesting of a topic for stories, really, because depression, a lot of it is like, unlike a lot of like problems or conflicts in stories, depression isn't something that you can necessarily work through and solve by the end of a story arc, because depression is just there's something wrong with your brain. So there's not a lot of good, satisfying storytelling and narrative I find often in depression themed games. It's more so focused on the experience of dealing with depression and trying to find a way to make it work. And maybe this is also coming from someone that doesn't suffer from depression. I might be coming from somewhere of extreme ignorance here, but it just doesn't really grab me. It just doesn't interest me. So I did not really care that much for the story of Celeste. Oh yeah, Celeste is more anxiety, but you know, anxiety, depression, that whole sphere of games about those kinds of negative health things. None of it really grabs me too much. There's a meme that Celeste makes you trans. I'm not familiar with that. Have I dipped my toes into Kaizo Mario? No. I mean, I just got into 2D Mario not too long ago, so no. And honestly, I'm a little 2D Mario'd out these days, so yeah, I'll pass for now. Maybe at some point, but honestly, Kaizo looks like a nightmare. Have I played Dadish? It's a simple 2D platformer with environmental puzzles and funny dialogue. Never heard of it. Have I played Gravity Circuit or heard of Berserk Boy? I have played neither, but I am familiar with both, and I am going to. They're both on my Steam wish list. I'm going to play them at some point. Interesting. Whoa, nice. I mean, that's not really too surprising because obviously a lot of action games are designed to appeal to guys. Um, you know, that's how the biology works. You know, gender appeal stuff is a big hot topic, but some of it is honestly biologically influenced if you look into it a little. But I don't want to get into that kind of stuff. Shoujo action. I don't know. Bayonetta has a very strong female character, and not in like a annoying, cringy, strong female character way. I don't know if women are more into Bayonetta. I can only pick 3 games for the rest of the time. What am I gonna pick? Probably, I haven't even played it, but I'm gonna say Tears of the Kingdom. Um, uh, Probably a Gears of War game, and then uh, maybe I don't know. I don't know what a third game would be. Probably Cloud Built, I guess. Super Cloud Built. Or DMC5. One of those two. Are there any games I like that are not available on Steam? Yeah, there's some stuff. I like Minecraft. I like uh what's it called? I already mentioned Crash 4 and Tony Hawk 1 Plus 2 and other Call of Duty Zombies games, Black Ops 4, Black Ops Cold War. I think that's about everything other than like fan games. What do I think of when I hear the word gamers? Just people that like to play video games. I know some people don't like the term gamer. I don't really care for it. I know Crash 4 is on Steam, but I bought it before it was on Steam. I have it on Battle.net. You like Black Ops 1 zombies? My favorite zombies game is probably Black Ops 3, just because that game has so many maps and it's got good mechanics and stuff and fun. But I think my favorite maps come from Black Ops 2, Mob of the Dead. I also like Buried a lot, which is an uncommon opinion. What kind of music do I like? Your go-to genres? I'm not much of a music person. I don't listen to much music. Most of what I listen to is like game soundtracks. Have I heard of Good Boy Galaxy? I have. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but I am somewhat familiar with it. Favorite zombies map is Mob of the Dead. What is a game I am looking forward to? Penny's Big Breakaway, the Paper Mario remake, the Persona 3 remake, and a lot of indie games. Mostly indie games is what I play. There's not too many AAA games that I can think of off the top of my head. Like maybe that Peach game if it's cool. How big am I on owning merch of things I like? Non-existent. I don't have merchandise of anything. I don't have. Well, I guess that's not true. I have some T-shirts, but that's really it. I have T-shirts of some things. I have a Gears T-shirt, a KI T-shirt, a Mass Effect T-shirt, and a couple others. I got a Spider-Man T-shirt, a Batman T-shirt. But no posters, no figures, nothing like that. I'm just not a merchandise guy because here's the thing. I like video games. I could spend a bunch of money buying merchandise, or I could spend that money on video games. I'd rather do that. Do I think it's tacky to wear graphic tees that advertise products? Well, Schweet, I normally like to wear t-shirts that are like subtle, that only people that know would actually know. So, for example, my Gears shirt is just the Gears of War logo, the Crimson Omen here. And to people who don't know what Gears of War is, it just looks like a cool graphic tee. But to Gears fans, they're like, oh, nice shirt. So it's kind of like an inside thing. And that's most of the shirts that I have. It's all like inside stuff. So it's not even really advertising. It's just it's for people in the know to be like, hey, I like that thing too. Would I say video games are more video or more game? That is a weird question. A video game is defined by being a game that you play digitally, so it is exactly even both of those. Yeah, something like just the Half-Life logo, that would be a good shirt. Those kinds of things. I have the Dead by Daylight logo, which is just it's just those tally marks. And it, again, if you don't know, you don't know. Oh yeah, I saw someone earlier mention Danganronpa. Never played any Danganronpa games, but I definitely want to, because I've heard really good things about them. Castlevania. I'll probably talk about Castlevania at some point. The thing is, it wasn't too long ago that I marathoned through all the Castlevania games, so I'm not really in the mood to do that again. But eventually, at some point, I'll definitely talk about them. I'm not familiar with what the Aphex Twin logo is. I guess you could always do like a Black Mesa logo or something like that. All of them? Not all of them. The good ones. I have not played every single Castlevania game. I have a couple still that I need to clean up, and a couple that I'm perfectly fine never playing. What's my opinion on VR? Never tried it, so I have no opinion. Hello, Surrender Ready. We're done talking about games. We're just hanging out now at the end of the stream. I don't think Mario Sunshine even needs defending. It's a flawed game, but it's also very good. Have I ever tried Minecraft mods? Yeah, a little bit here and there. Not too much, because I haven't played a lot of Minecraft in general, to be honest, so I feel like I need to get more of the vanilla experience first before I start really diving into crazy modding and stuff. Desper, I love how you have to remove Outer Wilds from that, because Outer Wilds is the correct choice. If I could remove a game from my memory so I could re-experience it for the first time, it would be A Hat in Time. A Hat in Time on first playthrough is a magical experience. And on subsequent playthroughs, it's still great, but it loses the pure joy. How many holes are on a straw? I'm familiar with that. Ever tried Phoenix Wright games? Yes, I played 1 and 2. I want to try more because they were really good. Cancer, thank you very much. Forget feeding your family, you'll feed me? Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate all you for hanging out and sticking out with me throughout this whole ride. It was fun. It was fun. I should try Ultra Kill. I will. At some point. Probably when it gets out of early access. I don't really like playing early access games. I actually quite enjoy Redstone in Minecraft. I think it's fun. Ever try some other Edmund McMillen games? I've tried Super Meat Boy. Didn't really like it too much. But you know what I have played? I've played Binding of Isaac 4 Souls, which is a card game that Edmund McMillen made that I got on Kickstarter. And it is kind of like a Magic the Gathering Commander format style game. And I don't know how much I like it. I've only played like 3 games of it. I have to play it more, but I'm kind of feeling like it's not my favorite game in the world. But it's okay. I definitely agree with that, Leo. There are definitely Mario and Zelda games that feel like the perfect, complete package that encapsulate everything those series can be and maximize all the potential they have, and Sonic definitely does not have that. Have I gotten into custom levels for any game? Left 4 Dead 2. I've played a lot of custom campaigns for that. Played some custom zombies here and there. Obviously some custom Sonic stuff. think that's about it. And custom Portal maps. I played co-op with friends. Definitely not Unleashed. Are you crazy? The fucking werehog and the collecting the moon medals and shit? Fuck no. Would I ever talk about things outside of video games? Yes, but probably not on this channel. This is a gaming channel. It's difficult to break out into other mediums when you have like a topic selected for your channel. So I'll probably do it in a different format, maybe a different channel, or I'm working on a podcast, or I'll be talking about other things eventually. We'll see. Thoughts on Zelda's live-action movie adaptation? Honestly, I don't care. I really don't. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed the Mario movie, but whatever. If it's good, cool. If it's not, I don't give a shit. Any plans for 20K subscribers? Honestly, no. Not really. I'm not really too worked up about milestones. Whatever. It's a number. It's a bigger number than the previous number, and it has more zeros, so that makes it important. Not really. But it's cool that I'm growing and making progress. So, you know, that's all. But also feels weird for me to do something to celebrate something that's good for me. That would be weird. Normally, like, you do a celebration for other people or other things. So I don't know. It seems strange to me. I mean, have you seen Link in Breath of the Wild? You've seen him in the Gerudo outfit. You know. Everyone knows. There's a reason that's a thing, because he looks so good in it. Yeah, it's like planning my own birthday. That's weird. We got some other Gerudo Link appreciators in here, my people. Have I checked out Arcane? No, but I really want to. I'm not a League of Legends fan. I don't know shit about League of Legends. I don't care about it. But I have heard that Arcane is just incredible, so I want to check it out. Favorite Sonic design? Classic Sonic. Much prefer that to modern Sonic. I think all the changes they made to modern Sonic were unnecessary and inferior. Thoughts on the Scott Pilgrim anime? Haven't watched it. Not a really huge Scott Pilgrim fan. I watched the movie and I thought it was pretty good, and that's it. So I don't know. I'd have to check it out. Oh yeah, of course. The CD Junio Sonic is one of the best variations of the classic design. I'm also a really big fan of Kieran Gates is the artist. He did some of the key art for Sonic Mania. I think his Sonic looks really good. It feels like the perfect iconic Sonic if you look at some of his art. Sonic Battle character art or Sonic Riders character art? Ooh, that's a good question. That's tough. That's tough. Ooh. Hmm. I think I'm going to go for the Riders art because I like the character design modifications. I like everyone's sporty gear. I like the different shoes and stuff for the characters. I actually really like Sonic's Riders shoes, much more than the soap shoes from SA2. If you're going to give Sonic an overly complicated shoe design, go with the Riders shoes. They're much nicer. Never before seen Sonic Adventure Spider character concept art. No, I've not seen that. I'm going to have to check that out later. Oh, is it like that character that's on the poster? Yeah, it's a character on the poster. Do they have like full character art that we can see? See, Sonic X Sonic does look pretty good with that disclaimer when on model, because one of the biggest problems with Sonic X is that show is really cheap, and so it is off model constantly. But also, I don't like how Sonic X Sonic only has 3 spikes ever from any camera angle. It looks really weird. I understand why they do that to make it easier to draw, but it looks bizarre. Oh, that is cool. I'm going to check that out. Another obscure non-Sonic character that we can turn into a Sonic character, like Honey. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Bravia, look at Kieran Gates Sonic. I think it's a very good approximation of a good balance of like all the best aspects of various different Sonic designs. Yeah, it could be also Mickey Mouse effect, Desper, possibly. Someone linked that to me on Twitter. I'll check that out later. That thread is sweet. Do I ever plan to talk about how much I hate the modern characterization? Yes, of course. But I'm not going to do it in a dedicated video. I'll talk to it when we get to it. When we get to, the comics and Frontiers and the way things are now, then we'll talk about it. There's also a literal vampire? Huh. Oh, is that like the really old Sonic 1 art where Eggman is like a bumblebee looking thing? Yeah, because I'm familiar with that. I've seen that. Of course, Kieran Gates is working on Penny's Big Breakaway. He worked on Mania. Yeah, there you go. Forgetting brand and money stuff, do you think Sonic should have ended after SA2? No, definitely not. Because they didn't get it right. They did not make a proper 3D Sonic game. You can't go out until you've done that right. And they've still not done that right. Well, maybe one day. Maybe one day. How close am I to re-releasing the Sonic Canon video? It'll be in December. Hopefully early December. I have no idea what the current status of Sonic Utopia is after all that stuff with Lang happened. I don't know if it's still being worked on or whatever. Sonic about to go on forever then. Well, that's what Sega would want anyway. Sonic Robo Blast 2 is pretty close to 3D Sonic done right. I would say if you could take Sonic Utopia and Sonic Robo Blast 2, the middle ground in between those games is close to what I would say is the ideal 3D Sonic game. Do I have any tips for getting into writing stories? Just start doing it. That's what I did. I had been kicking around maybe writing eventually sometime in like high school, I think, or late middle school. And then someone just said to me, well, why don't you just try it? And I was like, okay, I will. And I just went home and started writing. And I just was coming up with a story as I was going. I didn't worry too much about plotting or character development. I just started writing. And it was just to see if I enjoy writing. Because if you don't enjoy it, don't bother with it. See if you like it first, and then invest time and work into getting better and improving and stuff. Yeah, there's no rules. You don't have to go to school for writing. Not at all. You can be totally self-taught. I'm self-taught. And really, it's very freeform. You don't even need to go through a lot of formal education channels. Just do what feels right, do what you think looks good, draw inspiration and reference from things that you like. And also, it's good to do some education, read, watch stuff, read stuff, play stuff, even if you want to get into that kind of writing. Familiarize yourself with different kinds of writing and, different tiers of writing. And you'll notice things. Just like you can eventually start to pick up a language if you're around it for long enough. If you engross yourself in stories enough, you'll start to notice the patterns and the trends and what works and what doesn't and why. And you'll figure it out. At least I did. Yeah, just anything. If you have like no experience, I would say just, pull up a document and just start writing something as it comes to you. Just go. Some of my favorite manga series. Koi no Katachi, also known as A Silent Voice, is very good. Um, Onanie Master Kurosawa, aka Masturbation Master Kurosawa, which I know, what the fuck, pariah, but give it a look. It's really good. It's really legitimately good. It's not hentai, but it does deal, obviously, with some things. But it's really good, honestly. I recommend it. Give it a try. I know the title and what it is about, it seems fucking weird, but give it a shot. Trust me. You trust me about stories? Then give it a shot. Do I plan to play God Hand on stream in the future? Probably not, but I've done a video about it. I'm thinking I might do a new video about it, because that one's pretty old. Cutting things out of your story, Hesia, is an important part of it. Especially early writers, it's very easy to bloat up your things and do all this world building, and you have 7 volumes planned out. Most of the time, the best thing to do is to trim absolutely everything that you possibly can, unless it is 100% strictly necessary for the story to work. And if it's not, get it out of there. Which means you have to kill a lot of things that you like, and a lot of things you think are good. But for the good of the story, rip it out. It's for the best in almost every case. Yeah, writing workshops are another good tool. There are probably online ones you can find all over the place. Any comics I've read? I've read about 100 issues of Spider-Man in the past. They were not good issues. They were like around, I think, 500, like 500 to 600. And that was like in the really like weird ass time when Spider-Man was fighting the bastard child of Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn, and he like turned into a spider and then gave birth to himself, but now his web powers were biological instead of web shooters. There was a lot of weird shit going on in that time of Spider-Man, and it was kind of bad. It was around the time of Civil War as well, where Spider-Man threatens to murder Kingpin and says that he's going to come for him multiple times throughout his life. And he never knows when's going to be the time that he's actually going to murder him. But for the rest of Kingpin's life, he has to be afraid that Spider-Man is going to come after him. That happened in a Spider-Man comic book. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of like long-running superhero comic book stories because they're like an endless pile of trash, and it just goes on and on and on until it goes out of control, and then we have to reboot it, and then it just goes out of control again, and then we have to reboot it. Mao brings up the TF2 comics. I mentioned before how good of a writer Eric Wolpaw is. The Team Fortress 2 comics are fucking fantastic. You would be surprised that Team Fortress 2 has a good story, but it actually does. Read the TF2 comics. They are shockingly amazing. They're so funny and really gripping. Sadly, the last issue never came out, so it's unfinished, which is so painful. But, you know, Valve doesn't work on TF2 anymore, so it is what it is. It's still a fantastic read, chapters 1 to 6. Any graphic novels I've read? I read, was it a graphic novel? I read the first volume of Walking Dead, which I thought was pretty okay, but I fell off with it. I've read some Star Wars comics, some of the new Marvel Star Wars comics, and a lot of them are quite bad, but some of them are good. I've read some Sonic comics, some of the IDW comics, the first story arc, which I did not like. Thoughts on Doki Doki Literature Club? My problem with Doki Doki Literature Club is that the whole thing is that it looks like a shitty dating sim, and then it pulls the rug out from under you and turns into a horror game, right? The problem there is that they make you sit through, like, hours and hours and hours of genuinely legitimate trash dating sim garbage. And I just could not put up with it to get to the good stuff. It was not worth the payoff for me. So I did not enjoy Doki Doki Literature Club. Did I consider the Mario RPG remake? Maybe, but I'm not sure. I tried playing the original once, and it didn't really grab me. But I might. We'll see. Yeah, I honestly thought that the first story arc of the IDW Sonic comics were, like, bad. Like, not, I didn't like them. Like, they had poor writing, and nothing happens, and it's got a lot of weird stuff. I did not enjoy it at all. And that's why I haven't read more of the comics. I hear Metal Virus is better. I don't know. I'll probably try reading it when I eventually do a video, just so that people don't yell at me that you gotta try Metal Virus. We'll see. I like that it's based on the two-player costumes from Sonic Heroes. That's cool. See, that's the thing about Ian Flynn. I don't like his writing. I don't like how he handles the characters, but he has a lot of cool ideas, like taking that concept of the two-player skins from Heroes and turning it into like a robot zombie epidemic. That's a neat repurposing of something that was just like a nothing before. And Surge and Kit and Dr. Starline, how they're based off of palette glitches, you know, Ashura and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. I love that idea. And the fact that she's like a clone of Sonic or something, and it's another Sonic rival, which we've not had in forever. I think a lot of those ideas are really cool. It's just his writing and the way he handles the series I don't like. But I might like Surge. I don't know. I haven't read anything with her, so I don't know what the character is really like too much. What if I live streamed reading them? No. To my knowledge, Evan Stanley and Ian Flynn like trade off who's doing the writing. There will never be an Ian Flynn slander video. It's not even slander. It's just me saying I don't like his writing, and here are the problems I think it has. That's not slander. That's just my opinion. What are those problems? That's too much of a topic. I'm not getting into it now. Biggest problem with Ian Flynn's writing? None of the characters act like the characters. That's my biggest problem. But there are other problems. Other big problems. Oh yeah, I should drink more water. Thank you, Pato. I keep forgetting. I'm too engrossed in our conversation. All right, I'm going to call the stream there. Thanks for hanging out, guys. It was fun. I appreciated everyone sticking around. I hope you all enjoyed this walk through my Steam library. I played a lot of video games. I've mentioned this before in the past, that I have very high standards for games these days, and it's because I've played all of this. And so, I've seen a lot, and I'm not too interested in a lot of games these days. It's got to really be unique or really be excellent to get my attention. And not every game is that. So I have very high standards. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's it for the stream. Thank you very much. It was fun. I'll see you guys probably later in the week for the next stream. Gonna be Mario Maker 2. I promise this time. I'll see you around.